following is a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.
Martinsville is such a cool track. Nothing like it on the circuit.
Now you got to have a little patience, but you got to have good brakes, okay? Takes out a little bit of everything.
And he wins it! Drag race, Jimmy Johnson!
You have to be perfect.
And a whole lot of lucky.
Way to go, boys! Oh, yeah!
Martinsville, Virginia, located in the south central part of the Commonwealth, population 73,000 in the city and surrounding area, a small town where NASCAR's smallest track is located. The Martinsville Speedway, just half a mile around, but don't confuse small with easy. This little paperclip-shaped bull ring's very demanding on car and driver. It's a place rich with history. They've been racing here since 1947. And today the grandstands are again filling up with enthusiastic fans ready to see race number 6 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. 43 drivers slug it out for 500 laps at tough little Martinsville, each looking to take home one of the sport's most unique and prized trophies, the famed grandfather clock, given only to the winner here. Jeff Burton will be a crowd favorite today. Last weekend, the Virginia native let everyone know his championship bid is for real.
Here's where the strategies are going to come into play. It's 37 laps to go.
Jeff Burton, a very quick pit stop, gas only.
He didn't want to give that lead up.
Came in here fourth in the point standing.
He's driving his way into this championship hunt.
Jeff Burton hangs on and gets it done. Burton wins at Charlotte.
Jeff Burton is from South Boston, Virginia. That is a mere 53 miles from Martinsville, making this such an important place for Jeff Burton to do well. It's been important from a career perspective as well. September 22nd, 1990, Jeff Burton scored his first big league NASCAR win right here. That's him in the 12 car, muscling aside Robert Presley in the 59. Jeff Burton's emotions in scoring that first win and scoring it here, very evident on the faces of all that day. With qualifying rained out on the field lined up on points, Burton starts second today. He's with Shannon Spake right now.
Well, with his win last week, Jeff Burton moved from 4th to 2nd in the point standings. So how did last week's win affect your perception of your ability to win this championship?
Well, I mean, I've said all along I think we can win it. Obviously, we got to have some breaks and things got to go our way, as everybody does. You know, we haven't shown the brute force that some other teams have shown, but you know, I feel real good about this race team and the effort that we put in. And I don't know, we'll see. It's still, you know, we're halfway through. We're in position, and you know, but it's a lot of racing left to go. We're just going to go and race hard, have a good time, and see what we can make happen.
All right, a good time here at Martinsville. You said that this is one of the most difficult tracks on the circuit. What makes this place so tough?
It's small. You know, I mean, these cars are, you know, 3,500 pounds, 800 horsepower. A lot of rear grip problems, a lot of front grip problems. Slowing these cars down is really hard. It's just, you know, this is a very demanding racetrack. It's really not built for this size race car, which is what makes it fun. You know what I mean? It changes things up, and it's just hard to make these cars stick to the bottom and put them where you want them. And even a good handling car isn't handling very well. So it's just a huge challenge, and put 43 out there, it makes it pretty exciting.
Well, if Jeff Burton does want to win today, he's going to have to beat the man currently known as Mr. Martinsville, Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson may just be too strong.
Walk in the park for Jimmy Johnson. He comes to the line and wins.
It's up to 2 car lengths now as Jimmy Johnson begins to ride off into the sunset. Bring it to the line.
Jimmy Johnson goes to victory lane for the 2nd time in his career here at Martinsville.
The head should be ready for it. Here comes Gordon. They're side by side on corner number 4.
Gordon leans on Jimmy Johnson coming down to the line. Jimmy Johnson's going to pull it off by just a couple of feet.
Is what we've been waiting for 5 years right there.
Can Jimmy Johnson hang on?
Caution's out. Caution's out.
Race is over. That's it right there.
Woo! Way to go, boys. You just won your 3rd straight Martinsville race.
Yeah, that's quite a highlight reel for Jimmy Johnson. 4 victories here at the Martinsville Speedway, but your crew chief, Chad Canals, told me this morning, you guys struggled in the early years here. What have you learned, and how's it helped?
A lot. There's such rhythm that's required to run this track, and the only way you find that rhythm is to be out here making laps. There's no other tracks around to really test on, and there might be now with the one in Rockingham, but outside of that, especially when I got started, you just had to come here and take your lumps. We're going to see some guys today start here for the first time and take their lumps as well, and after a while, it just kind of clicked for me. I had a great teammate in Jeff Gordon and Robbie Loomis at the time to help Chad and I both understand this track a little bit better, and it finally clicked at one point, and it's been good to us ever since.
So can you add to that highlight reel how good your car today?
It's very good. I feel that we've been strong off the truck. We've got a great race car. We made great changes last night, and I'm optimistic. I really am. I think we've got a good chance today.
And Alan, there's plenty of reason for Jimmie Johnson to be optimistic. Consider this stat. He's led at least 100 laps in each of his last 5 visits to the Martinsville Speedway.
Yes, sir, Michael. And Jimmie Johnson leads the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship standings with 5 races down and 5 to go in the chase. He's up 69 points on Jeff Burton. Carl Edwards' troubles the last 2 weeks have dropped him a little bit farther back. And you see in the right-hand column that of the drivers competing for the championship, 5 of the 12 have scored wins here at Martinsville before. Our ESPN pit studio overlooks the entire place just outside turn 2 in the backstretch, where we won't miss a single bump, bang, or spin all day long. Welcome inside Alan Bestwick with 7-time Martinsville winner Rusty Wallace and NASCAR team owner Brad Daugherty. This may be the smallest and slowest track on the circuit, but don't confuse that with the easiest.
Oh, not at all. I mean, right here, you're talking short track racing at its best, folks, right here in Martinsville, Virginia. They are going to be tearing up everything. They're going to be tearing up brakes. They're going to be tearing up rear end gears. They're going to be crashing. They're going to be hitting the curbs. It's going to be exciting. Don't go anywhere. But I will promise you there will be some bent sheet metal when it's all done.
Absolutely. The racing is just absolutely spectacular here. You see them side by side, rubbing on each other, rooting and gouging. The lead pack gets into the rear end of the field so quickly. They're on top of one another all day long. You can't step away for a second.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And we heard from Jeff Burton and Jimmie Johnson. I want to talk about Jeff for a minute. How much did his win last Saturday night in Charlotte change the perception of Jeff as a championship contender? He was kind of like on the outside fringe there for a while.
Yeah, it was everything in the world, Alan, to win that race. To me, the key thing was he won it late in the year, which puts him a legitimate contender. Going into it, he might say, hey, I can get it done. But when you win it late and you're second in the points right now, you're thinking, hey, baby, I'm in this game. I can really do this. I thought I could, but now I know I can.
See, I think it changes perspective for the media. I think Jeff Burton all along knows that he's the old seasoned vet. He's got a lot of skill. He can win this championship, particularly when it comes to this racetrack. He has a victory. He has 10 top 5s here, 14 top 10s. He's very effective at this racetrack. Jeff Burton is a serious threat.
It's trouble when you let Brad loose with a record book. Jimmie Johnson and this race team, why are they so good here?
I spent the whole morning sitting with Chad Canals talking about that. What has clicked for you over the past several seasons? And he said it's nothing more than a lot of testing and a lot of patience when you come here to race. One of the big keys, and they learned this from Jeff Gordon, is getting that race car to roll through the center of the corner, not binding it up. He says also for crew chief, he's gotten better. Chad Canals said back in 03, the fall of 03, he actually lost the race here. They were leading, didn't come into pit. Everyone else came down pit road on the last pit stop, and they got beat. It's just a great combination of things.
Now, Brad, one thing he does know, he knows where to pass and what he needs to do to his car to get it to maneuver around the track to pass in those real crucial spots. He doesn't have to have the fastest car.
Right.
Jimmy knows where to get that car handling, and it's worked really good for him. 4 wins, man.
Yep.
4 wins.
Absolutely.
12 months ago, this race in Martinsville was the springboard for Jimmie Johnson to an incredible end of the season. He won 4 of the final 5, which led to his 2nd consecutive championship. No one would be surprised if he scored another Martinsville win today. Couple lineup changes today. Talked about drivers making their first starts at Martinsville. Scott Speed's first Sprint Cup Series start at Martinsville. In the Red Bull 84, he starts 35th. The man he displaced in that car, A.J. Allmendinger. In the Gillette Evernham 10, he starts 39th. And when we come back, Carl Edwards looking for a comeback after troubles the last 2 weeks have made him a longer shot for the title. After today's race, next Sunday it's on to Atlanta as the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continues. Here's all you need to know about Atlanta. In 2 of the last 3 races, the guy leading with 10 laps to go hasn't won.
Wow.
Lots of great finishes.
Oh,
that is next Sunday. Coverage starting with NASCAR Countdown at 1 Eastern Time on ABC. Here at Martinsville today, Jeff Gordon will certainly be one to watch. 7 times Gordon's been first to the checkered flag, including a season sweep in 2005. He sure was fast in yesterday's final practice. And Jamie Little, he starts 8th.
He sure has a stellar record here, but you know, the guys in the booth, they were talking about what makes these guys, he and Jimmie Johnson, his teammates, so good here. You talk about getting in the zone, Jeff. How do you get in the zone with so much chaos on this short track?
Well, obviously, it first starts with Hendrick Motorsports. I mean, we both drive for Hendrick, and so there's the one common denominator. But, yeah, you know, the short track, especially here at Martinsville, it's so easy to overdrive the corners. But when there is such a gaggle of cars and things happening around you at all times, it's so important to just, get focused and get into that rhythm, and I guess you could call it the zone. And sometimes, I tell you, they're talking to me on the radio, and I don't even hear what they're saying because you're so focused and so into that rhythm and that zone.
Yesterday he was focused and in that zone. Final practice, he was #1 on the board. He rolls off 8th. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. Carl Edwards will roll off 4th today after being neck and neck with Jimmie Johnson for the championship just a few weeks ago. Carl has quite a hole to dig out of points-wise now. His title hopes short-circuited like his race car was a race ago.
Carl Edwards has made it very exciting the last couple of weeks.
I can't wait to see what he's going to do next.
He looks like he's going to do whatever it takes.
How about those wheels? Huge vibration.
Carl Edwards just radioed in a lot of anxiety in his voice to Bob Osborne saying, hey guys, we've got a vibration.
Put right sides on it. Put right sides on it right now. Yellow's out at a wreck at turn 3. Saying we're 1 lap down. We lost it after the yellow came out. This is unbelievable. Car quit. There's no fire right now. The car quit.
Huge problem for Carl Edwards.
We got power to the car. There's no ignition, no spark.
Carl Edwards' car going to get pushed back onto the pit road. He's going to lose another lap.
Somebody bring me a spark plug. I need a spark plug. We got nothing. We got nothing. Absolutely nothing out here.
We are watching Carl Edwards' championship's hopes evaporate.
This looks like a very dire situation, championship-wise, for Carl Edwards.
And that weekend, of course, dropped him 2 slots in the points chase. If you were to pick a racetrack to bounce back at, I don't know that it would be Martinsville. You haven't had that great a record here, so how do you talk yourself into today?
Well, this Office Depot Fusion was pretty fast in practice, and man, you could see the frustration there on Bob's face. And last week to take a car that's that fast and have some problem, they still don't know what was wrong with the ignition box. That's frustrating. So we just have to go out here, work hard, know that we can do this. We can come back. It's 35 points a race or something, and just keep doing what we do, and that's never give up.
Carl certainly still has a shot at the championship, Alan.
All right, David. So Carl and his team have had a few problems the last couple of weeks. Emotions and pressures of the championship causing these problems, or just coincidence?
I think it's just coincidence. I really do. I mean, you talking last week at Charlotte. I mean, he had a mechanical issue. None of his doing. He drove good. The car handled great. Pit stops were pretty good, but he had a problem. Now, the thing I am concerned about, he's heading to Martinsville, a track he really doesn't like. A lot of things can happen here, crashes. He can get involved in that. If that happens, I don't want to hit this thing that turned into what happened to Kyle Busch.
Yeah,
I mean, all those wins and all of a sudden, boom, 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 you're out of this thing. That could happen to Carl.
Well, see, I think it's more of an emotional thing. I think Carl Edwards is such a tremendous competitor, and he puts so much pressure on himself as well as Bob Osborne. I was down in the pits wandering around, and the right front tire changer, Corey Quick, came up to me and said, hey, I did not leave that right front tire loose last week. And I'm looking at him like, okay, I believe you. So that just shows me that there's an atmosphere around this race team, and I think they're a little bit on that emotional edge right now. They want this championship badly.
Well, they got some ground to make up, that's for sure. Now, on this little paper clip-shaped speedway, you can't win and you can't even finish if you can't keep the brakes working, and that's just not an easy thing to do.
Oh, man, look at this. Locking the left front brake up. These brakes are so good nowadays, you can do that. In old days, man, you burn them up, catch them on fire. I mean, all kind of problems in the past. You'll see a little bit at the day.
So what has to happen to make the brakes last? For that, we go to our Chevy Cutaway car and find out from Tim Brewer. Tim?
Most important thing we can do at Martinsville is cool the brakes. We conduct air through the front of the car, through these ducts. We actually use fans to blow over here to try to keep the heat out of the brakes. Now the brake pad, you're going to see this rotor glow because it's about 1,300 degrees. But over here, this is the weakest point of the system. It's the brake fluid. It actually boils at 550 degrees. But what we do, we put insulators right here so we can have air passage coming through right next to the brake pad to kill off some of that heat before it gets to the piston. Because the piston, right back here, that's where the fluid sets. And when you exceed 550 degrees, that's when the brake fluid boils, the pedal gets soft, you don't have any brakes. You're going to lose a race here at Martinsville without any brakes.
Oh, it's that old saying that people have thrown around here for years. They can put a man on the moon, but you can't stop a race car for 500 laps at Martinsville. Well, we'll see how that plays out over the course of the day today. And let's talk to our 7-time Martinsville winner about how a driver gets around here using and trying to save brakes.
Well, look at Jeff Gordon. He just slammed on the brakes real hard. drove that baby right in on the bottom of the racetrack. Now look, folks, that's how you do it if you're trying to run around this racetrack, a fast lap, and drive it deep in the corner. But you just don't have to do it that way every single lap. Let's take a look at Denny Hamlin's car right now. He's getting down into turn 3, pretty nice lap, right on the bottom of the track. But you can tell, now, focus at the start-finish line coming up on the right side. Listen to the motor. He's out of the throttle early. He's coasting that baby into the corner. And when you do it that way, Alan, you can save your brakes. You do not have to run every single lap wide open. So back off a little bit, save the brakes, and when they catch you, take back off. That's what I did, and I won 7 races doing it that way.
Yeah, and Chad Knaus, like I said, to echo what I said earlier, that brought up a real interesting point to me because I thought you would drive that car into the corner and try to drive it out. He said, get that baby rolling. Get out of that brake. When that brake pedal gets long and soft, get out of it early. Let it roll through the corner so you create as much speed coming out as you do coming in. Don't bind the race car up.
You know, the shape of this racetrack really hasn't changed since it was built in the late 1940s by legendary promoter H. Clay Earls. They had the first race here of what is now the Sprint Cup Series back in 1949. That was the 6th race of NASCAR's first season. Martinsville, part of the change from dirt tracks to paved tracks when they laid the asphalt down back in 1955. And as the cars got bigger and faster and more speed, they started tearing up the corners. So they were the first track to put concrete down in the turns. That was 1976. And as the sport grew, so did the track. 19,000 seats added in a series of expansions from 88 to 94. Now the latest expansion of the racetrack is actually a new pit road that was built for this race, part of a $3 million capital improvement project that includes a brand new, gigantic, massive scoring pylon in the center of the infield for these fans. Now, when the most recent race was done here on March 30th, it was Denny Hamlin's number 11 that was at the top of that scoreboard. Hamlin took the lead from Jeff Burton with 73 laps to go, then held off a late charge by Jeff Gordon for the win. The Virginia native starting 12th today. He is with Shannon Spake right now. What's Denny thinking for the start of this one, Shannon?
Well, I'll tell you what Jeff Gordon's thinking. Jeff Gordon said earlier this week that one person to beat here at Martinsville is definitely Denny Hamlin. You're starting 12th today because qualifying was rained out. Is your car good enough to race its way to the front?
Yeah, I mean, 24 and 48 always seems to be, the class of the field here. We always kind of stick our nose in there towards the end of these races here at Martinsville, but our FedEx car was pretty good during practice, and we'll see what we got for those guys. We'll try to be patient as we can, trying to move up.
All right, Denny Hamlin looking to make it a Martinsville sweep here this weekend. Mike?
And Shannon, Greg Biffle comes into this race 3rd in the standings, 86 points behind Jimmy Johnson. What's it like trying to keep Jimmy within striking distance at a track that he's been just incredible?
Well, I mean, he's definitely within striking distance right now when we start the race. He's one car in front of me, but we looked at the lap tracker. We know we're about 15th place car, so with us starting up front, having a good pit stall, and the guys doing a great job on pit road, hopefully we'll be able to keep that track position today. And we know we might give up a little bit today to him, but we got 4 great tracks coming up that we think we can get back and hopefully get in the lead.
And Greg Biffle, of course, trying to duplicate or improve upon what he did in this race a year ago when he finished 7th, his best Martinsville finish. Alan?
Hi, Mike. With qualifying rained out and the field lined up on points, Clint Boyer starts 5th today. His car turned some pretty quick laps in practice yesterday. Dale Earnhardt Jr. led the most laps in the March race here. Very solid car in practice as well. Jr. starts 10th. It's NASCAR Countdown from Martinsville, where they're getting the hot dogs ready. It's a classic. We're coming back.
You're watching ESPN on ABC.
Martinsville's tough because, track position means so much, and it winds up kind of being a root and gouge kind of race that you wind up, you can get in somebody else's mess pretty fast and not even know what happened.
Racing at Martinsville's kind of like being head of a daycare, and having all these crazy kids going crazy around you. And if you can really kind of manage every one of them and all these little things that are going to happen to you all day long, you'll be all right at the end.
It's just really small and really slow, and there's hardly enough room for 43 cars, and everybody runs into each other.
You got to hit your mark every single time, and yeah, you can do that, but you got to be the best at doing that. It winds up kind of being a root and gouge kind of race.
You just got to be careful and watch yourself all day long.
I gotta love that, like a daycare for race drivers.
That's awesome.
Good stuff. We're getting ready to go here in Martinsville today. The man who'll say, "Gentlemen, start your engines," is Army Staff Sergeant Rob Hankins from Fort Carson, Colorado, getting set to return for his third tour of duty in Iraq. Won a contest on behalf of the race sponsor, Tums, and got to meet his favorite driver, Kevin Harvick, here this morning. Everybody racing today for one of the most unique trophies in racing. 44 years ago, Speedway began presenting a grandfather clock made by a local furniture maker to the winners of this race. Tony Stewart has one. Dave, can he get another one today?
Yeah, he's earned that one. He earned the first one in his fourth try here, Alan. What about a win here and another grandfather clock in your 20th start, Tony?
It'd be awesome. It's this is a place that you always respect winning here. It's the history of it, and it's hard to win here. I mean, to win a race here, you've had to have a day that your car was good, but at the same time you had some luck go your way to stay out of trouble. So this is a place that you always enjoy winning at.
500 laps to fight it out. Jamie?
Kevin Harvick, he has a stacked resume when it comes to short tracks. Grew up in Southern California on those short, flat tracks. Kevin, how does Martinsville compare to where you grew up?
Well, it's a little bit different. Obviously, this place is pretty flat and not a whole lot of places to hide, as far as getting up out of the groove. And usually when something happens here, it happens pretty fast. So Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet has been pretty good this weekend, and just got to survive and try to keep our track position all day.
All right, Kevin Harvick looking for his first win here at Martinsville. He's always a threat. He rolls off 6th. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thank you. Let's talk about one of the unique things at this racetrack that'll come into play throughout the day, the curbs.
Oh, that curb sticks up about 5 inches outside the racetrack there. And what's going to happen all day long? Guy's going to get down the corner. Take a look at this car. Bonsai's in there. Brakes are locked up. Hits a curb into Ryan Newman. A lot of beating and banging. You're going to see this throughout the day. But most of the time, guys are going to wreck when they hit that curb.
Yeah, I went down there and looked at that curb, and it's really smooth when you roll up to it, but it does have about 5 inches of status. You can get in there. You could possibly bend the wheel or knock the toe in. You really got to be careful when you're trying to nose around that curbing.
And strategy will be huge in today's race. Which wins out, track position or tires?
Oh, a little bit of both. If it's late in the race, I'm saying you're going to put 2 tires on or stay on the racetrack. But in my mind, if it's like 75 or 80 laps to go, baby, I'm getting that sucker down there. 4 tires, 4 Goodyear Eagles. Yeah. I think that's going to win the race.
You got to stay out front, I do believe. But just like Chad Canal said in 03, they stayed out, everybody else came in, and those hot rods blew by them the rest of the day. So it's a tough call.
Couple other drivers to keep an eye on as we run throughout today's race. Kyle Busch, the 8-time winner this year, never won here before. He starts 9th. And Matt Kenseth has his best ever Martinsville starting spot. Qualifying was rained out. We'll see if Matt can turn around his Martinsville luck in this one. NASCAR Countdown returns to Martinsville after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
To be a champion, you must do all the things right all the time.
You got to do everything you can to be as patient as you can and still make good time.
Martinsville is the one I'm most excited for. It's a track that I've finally hit the rhythm with over the last few years. The majority of the guys in the chase struggle at Martinsville.
When you catch somebody, you have to be patient with it and not push the issue too early in the race. Right, if you make your last pit stop, then it's everybody for yourself.
Make a mistake, the win doesn't happen, and the championship goes away to somebody else.
And so we come to race number 6 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup from tiny Martinsville Speedway, where so many great champions have graced the winner's circle over the years. In the first 5 chase races this year, the pattern has been a few drivers having trouble, while some others like Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Burton have managed not only to avoid it, but race hard and race strong. A couple of years ago, Jeff Burton was the championship leader coming into this race, but finished 42nd and fell to 3rd in points, while Jimmy Johnson has won this race the last 2 years and gone on to win the championship. What will it be today? 500 grinding laps will tell us. Let's go trackside for the opening ceremony.
Race fans, at this time, please rise and remove your hats for today's invocation and our national anthem. Fans, NASCAR's family of officials lost one of its own earlier this morning with the passing of Steve Lawson, a native of Rockford, Illinois. Steve served as a NASCAR official for more than 10 years, working most recently as a safety inspector in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Please join us now in a moment of silence in remembering NASCAR official Steve Lawson. Thank you. Our colors today presented by Martinsville, Henry County, and the Virginia State Police. For our invocation now, Eldred Davis of Raceway Ministries.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, for the opportunities that it holds. We pray, Father, and just ask that you be with us today, be with the drivers, the crews. We pray for their safety. We pray, Father, that you will watch over each race fan as we return home, that you'll give safety to all. We want to remember the life of T. Taylor Warren, who laid groundwork, Father, for all of NASCAR. We just want to remember his life. Go with us now. Forgive us where we fail you, for it's in thy name I pray. Amen.
And for today's national anthem, the Martinsville High School Marching Band. The Martinsville High School Marching Band.
And so it's almost time to go with race number 6 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, the 120th NASCAR Sprint Cup race here at historic Martinsville Speedway. Who's going to hold the trophy and get that grandfather clock at day's end? The engines fire when we come back.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Toyota, moving forward. Vault, drinks like a soda, kicks like an energy drink. Vault, get to it. And Sprint, featuring NASCAR Nextel Cup Series updates at sprint speed.
Drivers are settling into their cars. The engines fire in a moment, and race 6 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup will begin on a nice autumn afternoon in south central Virginia. Temperature expected to be about 60 for a high, a 0% chance of rain in the forecast. Well, it's been a big weekend for the Fenway half of the Roush Fenway group so far. With more on the racing side, let's go to pit road and Jamie Little.
Well, Alan, 2 of the 5 Roush Fenway drivers are looking for a breakthrough today without a lot to lose. Jamie McMurray finished 5th at Charlotte last weekend. His best finish of the year and the highest for a Roush Fenway driver. He was 5th in Happy Hour yesterday. That car looks pretty stout. Now, David Reagan, remember just 2 years ago, Tony Stewart said he's a dart without feathers? Well, he's come a long way, coming off 3 top 10 finishes. He is in a backup car, backup motor. He'll drop to the back today, but they're confident they have a top 10 car. Shannon Spake?
Jamie, one driver looking to seal the deal here at Martinsville is Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's led the most laps in 2 of the last 3 races. Plus, he's led more laps here at this racetrack than any other track on the circuit. But he's failed to lead the most important, and that is the last lap. It's the last short track race on the circuit, and certainly this 88 team would love to end their day in victory lane. Dave?
Shannon, timing will be everything for Matt Kenseth, who starts 11th and pits just behind Bill Elliott, who starts 37th. Matt hopes that his crew gets their work done so fast that he's out of here before Bill even gets here. That way, he can use that part of Bill's stall to exit his race car. If the timing goes just wrong, Bill could be pulling in while Matt's trying to pull out, and that would be bad. Look for this, especially on the first round of pit stops. Mike?
Piece of real estate here at the Martinsville Speedway. Of course, this is pit exit. 4 chasers occupy these first 4 pit stalls, and that gives them somewhat of an advantage. Easy in, easy out, and also a little bit of protection from the chaos behind them. And here at a track where track position is so critical, this could be the most beneficial thing to starting up front. Alan?
Oh, pit road's going to be a crowded place today. We will see how the work of the crews changes the story of the day. Earlier, we told you the story of the Grand Marshal for today's race, Staff Sergeant Robert Hankins. It's time for him to do the job he won that contest to come here for, and that's say those 4 magic words to get the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Chase Race number 6 underway here at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia.
Race fans, it's time for the words you've been waiting for the most famous words in motorsports. Welcome back our honorary starter and Grand Marshal, U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Robert Hankins.
This goes out to all my fellow soldiers in Alpha Company 64th Brigade Support Battalion out of Fort Carson, Colorado, currently serving in Iraq. Gentlemen, start your engines!
Crank them up, crank them up. Fired up. Crank it, fired up, crank it up. All right, buddy, you got me? I got you. You got me loud and clear? Yeah, I do. Just like what we spoke about, nice and easy, do our job, be there at the end. That's going to be the key. Have a good time, and it'll be great at the end. I appreciate everything this week, guys. And 4, buddy. And 4. Just remember, we appreciate your efforts, man, no matter what.
All right, so as the field warms on the track, let's go high above the front stretch to our broadcast booth. To call the race, here are Dr. Jerry Punch, Dale Jarrett, and Andy Petrie. Doc?
Thanks, Alan. You know, for millions of fans, Martinsville Speedway is the Fenway Park or Wrigley Field of NASCAR, a storied facility that is steeped in history and tradition. Drivers realize, though, that this race can either turn your season around or tear it apart. Question is, which will it be and for whom? Well, let's visit with one of those drivers. Our in-race reporter today is Clint Boyer. Let's talk to him.
Clint, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yeah, I got you, buddy.
Hey, Clint, no arrow or clean hair to worry about this week, but what is your biggest challenge with this racetrack?
Yeah, just staying patient, staying out of trouble. You know, starting up front goes a long ways here. Really excited by our start position and learning from these guys. You got to learn from them so you can beat them.
Okay, Clint, our second question comes from our ESPN mailbag, and Patrick in Grand Rapids, Minnesota would like to know, how beneficial is your past short track experience in racing on a track like Martinsville?
You know, one would think that it would go a long ways, but this Martinsville track seems to be a different animal from anything I've ever been on. It's been the one that's taken me the longest to figure out, and we're getting closer. We're gaining on it. Good day today will go a long way.
All right, Clint, one more quick question. Is this car harder to drive here than the old car?
You know, I think it is a little bit, but it's just this racetrack. It takes a lot of discipline as a driver, you know, not getting in a corner too hard, picking up the gas too early. Those are your tendencies that you want to do, and it's hard for some reason to discipline yourself to do that. But I got a spotter that's a pain in my rear, and he'll be on the radio telling me not to do that all day long.
All right, Clint, thanks. Have a great day. And now Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Gil Martin.
All right, bye.
Hello, Gil. Andy Petrie up here. Do you have us?
Yeah, Andy, I got a copy on you.
Hey, Gil, this little short track at Martinsville can be a nightmare when it comes to strategy. What are you going to do? What kind of strategy are you going to use to get that 07 in position for that last run?
Well, our Jack Daniel Chevrolet was good on long runs yesterday in practice, but I think what we're going to have to do is almost treat it like a road race. We're going to back it up to where we think we can make it, because there's so many cautions that come out at the end of this race that you've got to be on the racetrack because you're not really going to make it up on tires.
How about your equipment, Gil, as far as the brakes are concerned? You know, our brakes are a lot better than they used to be, but this car is a challenge. How are the brakes going to hold up?
Well, if we've done our job right, he won't have to use that much brakes today. But if we don't have the car handling like it needs to be, he's going to have to carry us a little bit on the brakes to take care of them. We'll remind him to keep his foot off the brakes, but the brake companies have done an excellent job. We've got Brembos on this car today, and we're happy with them. And I think we're going to have brakes throughout today.
Okay, Gil, y'all have a good race and good luck. Thanks for talking to us.
All right, Andy. See you. Thanks.
Clint Boyer starts back in 5th today. He's made 5 starts here, is yet to win or get a top 5 here at Martinsville Speedway. Well, hello, everyone. Glad to have you with us. You know, Martinsville Speedway is the shortest, tightest, and arguably most combative track on the circuit. An afternoon here truly involves full contact stock car racing. That's why we love coming here so much. And, guys, the question is, what are the keys to surviving 500 laps here?
Well, I think we heard Clint Boyer just talk about one of them, and that's patience. You know, you're going to be you're going to run into people today. You can't let your emotions and your temper get the best of you. So keep those in check. And then the other thing is keeping that race car in check. Keep the fenders on it and wait till that last 100 laps. That's what's the most important thing.
That's the thing about this racetrack. It is so hard on equipment, from the gear ratios to the engines to the brakes, the fenders, the body of the car. Everything takes a beating here at this racetrack. You've got to save that car. Don't use up too much of your car early in the race. Save it for some of it for the end of the race.
If you ever wondered how much contact really takes place here, well, folks, take a look. The last two races that the NASCAR Sprint Cup cars have come here, we have had a combined 39 caution flags for a total of 216 laps. And, folks, that is simply good old-fashioned bare-knuckle short-track stock car racing, Martinsville style. That's why the fans love to be a part of what happens here on a Sunday afternoon. Pace car allowing the whole field to catch up here. The speed on pit road will be 30 miles an hour. They will run 35 miles an hour here on the racetrack. There is the 500 lap event. 263 miles. Pit window 135, 145, maybe go 150 if you get a little luck.
Well, we'll see that be a little shorter, because very seldom do you see a green flag pit stop at Martinsville. It's happened before, but it's not a common thing.
Yeah, and pit road, these guys got a nice new pit road. We'll talk about that more today, but a new concrete surface on there that's going to make pitting a lot easier for these guys.
Right along with 8 high-definition onboard cameras, 7 of which are in Chase Contenders cars, so you'll be able to see all the pushing and shoving from what the driver sees in the car here throughout the afternoon. One car going to the back of the pack, by the way, is the 6 car of David Reagan. He was the only car that had trouble in the practices on Saturday. He had to go to a backup car and backup engine, so he'll be at the back of the field. We know who the favorites are. Most of them are starting in the front 4 or 5 rows. But, guys, how about some sleepers that you guys saw in yesterday's final practice?
Yeah, I was watching the one car, Martin Truex Jr. yesterday, and his car looked really, really good. It had speed, and then it had longevity to hold on. So that's who I'm going with today.
We're going to talk about sleepers. How about Juan Pablo Montoya for a sleeper? I think this 42 car is going to have a good finish today. He has a good record up here. And these short tracks are a lot like road courses, and we know how good Montoya is on road courses. So look for a good finish out of this 42 today.
Has never finished out of the top 20 here. Remember, finished 8th in this race a year ago. This broadcast is available in Spanish by activating your SAP button, presented by ESPN Deportes.
This is a very important part of the race right here, is these pace laps leading up to the green. They've got to get some heat in the tires. They got real low air pressures, and the brakes are stone cold, and they got to get them warmed up and ready to pile down in the corner.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's one of the reasons we talked to Clint Boyer while he was still on pit road, was because the driver is really busy right now and trying to make all of that happen and getting this race car ready for what's getting ready to happen, which is a great race.
We heard drivers in happy hour talking about, I want you to raise the air pressure early, because going into turn 1 on lap 1 with low air pressure can get really hairy.
Yeah, I always started my car with a little higher air pressure on this first run, just for that reason, to get out there, try to get a good, your car handling well right at the very beginning of the race, because later on the brakes will be hot, all these things will be hot, and you can let that air pressure down a little bit more where you really need it. But I think the start of the race is just so critical.
Yeah, if you haven't seen racing here before, I'm glad you tuned in today, because this is some of the most exciting racing. I'm getting excited. I'm talking probably too loud here, but this is just fun racing. It was always fun as a driver, but I'm looking forward. I told you earlier, I'm not sure that I've watched a cup race here since my dad was racing here.
Okay, calm down, driver. Here we go.
Long race here.
Got to keep your driver cool here. Kevin Harvick, how much would he like to win here? The last time, by the way, a Richard Childress car won at this racetrack was back in the fall of 1995. And guess what? On that day, qualifying was rained out that weekend, so they started by points. And Dale Earnhardt Sr. won the race, starting on the outside of row 1, right where Jeff Burton is starting today.
I wondered how we did that.
There's the commitment line. You see that light, flashing light there, where you've got to commit left side tires to be able to come on the pit road.
You have to have your car inside of that white line there, and you commit to pit road. And if you cross that, then you have to come to pit road.
69 points separating the top two in the chase and 6 feet on the racetrack. Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Burton as they come down to the green flag at Martinsville, Virginia.
Generally, when that happens, especially on this concrete surface, these radial tires don't like to hook up to that. So these first few laps are going to be pretty exciting for these guys as these cars are going to slip around quite a bit.
Jeff Gordon caught up on the outside. He was the best car in happy hour final practice on Saturday.
He's been the best car here in a lot of happy hours and a lot of 500-lap races for quite a few years now.
Earnhardt Jr. behind him in the 88. There's the 11 car of Hamlin that won here back in March.
Saw Clint Boyer slip just a little bit off the corner. That's all Jeff Gordon needed to get clear of the 07. That outside lane can work fairly good in the very beginning laps when the tires are cold, but once they start kind of getting heated up, you need to get back down to the curb.
Yeah, you can make some time on the start of the race or on restarts on that outside, but you don't want to be up there very long before you need to get back to the bottom. That's where the real grip is.
Saw Tony Stewart slip up just a little bit there in turns 1 and 2, and Earnhardt Jr. had to give him a little more room. That cost him some space. Kyle Busch in behind the 20 car of Stewart. Here's the 6 car we mentioned. David Reagan had to go to a backup car, and even when they got the backup car out yesterday, they were really good in that final practice.
It's going to be very important for David to try to pass as many cars as he can before these leaders start coming around, because they come around quick on this half-mile racetrack, and the more cars he can put between him and the leader, the better off he'll be.
Yeah, the leader's already within a half a lap of the last car, so you're exactly right. The more cars he can put in between, the better his chances. And right now he's got a car that's being able to make some time and pass cars.
Battle for 11th position. Denny Hamlin will take that spot. Kurt Busch looking to try to move on the inside of Earnhardt Jr. for 12th. More on Denny Hamlin. Dave.
Yeah, man, as the spring winner, glad to be back on that low line again. I asked crew chief Mike Ford if they even worked on the high line here. He said no way. He said Denny's game is to beat you getting off the corner, to drag race you down and put that nose in the low line going into the corner. The high line we really don't even consider.
Staying on the bottom of the racetrack, pretty important here, and that's what right now the battle is among Roush Fenway teammates for 3rd position, Edwards and Biffle.
Yeah, this hasn't been either one of those guys' best racetrack by any stretch of the imagination. They both really struggled here, but a lot of people have told me that Carl Edwards' car was really good in practice yesterday.
The one problem I see with this 99 car is how hard it's hitting the splitter getting in the corner, and I think that's hurting him a lot. See Jeff Gordon really working the bumper hard on this 99. Mike?
Well, Andy, DJ just made a good point about Carl Edwards. He said this has not been necessarily his best track. In fact, Carl said earlier this weekend, the first time he was here, he was completely intimidated by this racetrack. But he does credit a little conversation he had with a veteran who had been good here. The late Bobby Hamilton had helped him, giving him advice on how not to overdrive the corners. Carl said that went a long way in improving the way he attacks this racetrack. He said since that conversation, he's been much better. He's extremely optimistic coming into this afternoon.
Bobby Hamilton Sr. really had this racetrack down pat, and he was real easy on equipment. He was one of the easiest guys that I ever had driving for me on equipment here at Martinsville.
Edwards lost that spot a moment ago to Jeff Gordon. There's the top 2, Jimmy Johnson by about 7 car lengths over Jeff Burton.
Look how close he is to the back of this field.
Yeah.
See the back of the field going into turn 1. There's Jimmy coming off turn 4.
So we said a while ago it was a half a lap. Now that it's he's on just a quarter of a lap behind these guys. See a guy that's really making a move here so far, and it's not surprising. Andy, I know he's your pick to win this race, and that's the only reason I didn't get him, because you picked him first, I think. But because Jeff Gordon is just, he's outstanding here, and he views this with his race team as their best opportunity to get the victory lane.
Jeff Gordon, a 7-time winner here, has not won a race in 36 starts, going back to Charlotte in October of 2007. Jamie.
And Doc, he and his crew chief Steve Letarte both thinking about that. They feel that this is one of the best chances they have all year to win. I asked Steve why Jeff is so good here. He said, well, with this new car, it's interesting. This racetrack and the road courses are the only tracks we go back to where they use the same tire. He said Jeff loves these tires. They just can't figure it out when it comes to the other tracks when they go back there with the new tire. Kind of interesting, DJ. What do you think?
Yeah, when you get a place that you really enjoy racing at and you know that you're going to have a setup, that makes all the difference in the world, and you get that confidence. So these guys are going to be good. I think Jeff Gordon not only wants to win here today, he wants to try to dominate this race.
See some of these cars just really hitting the splitter hard. This 96 car is killing the front splitter. He's going down in the corner, and that thing is just sitting right on that front splitter, which is made of a different material there. You can see that black coming out of it. It's a composite material. And that's really hurting Kenny right now. I saw that out of Carl Edwards' car, the 99, but this 96 car has just been really killing it.
Side by side, Tony Stewart in the 20 car, the 07. That's for 7th spot.
Yeah, that's how you kind of slide up and move a guy, get him out of the groove a little bit so you can make that pass easier. You get to running side by side here, slows both cars down quite a bit. Tony didn't take that chance, so we see splitter dragging there too.
You see all that dark looking smoke? That's what that is. That composite material is wearing away. You see it big time on Tony's car too. You expect that on low air pressures, but now we've run 17 laps. You would think they would have air pressures high enough that they shouldn't be doing that.
Double zeros had contact with the wall. That is Mike Bliss making a rare appearance in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. He is the 4th place points man in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Be back in action next week in Memphis. 2nd spot, Jeff Gordon. Didn't take him long to run down Jeff Burton. Now he's going to be on the move to try to reel in his teammate Jimmie Johnson. Jeff Gordon is a 7-time winner here. Jimmie Johnson has won 4 times, including 3 of the last 4 trips to Martinsville. We're at lap 25 of the Tums QuikPak 500 at Martinsville, Virginia. Jimmie Johnson has led all 25 laps thus far. Remember, there was no qualifying here. They started by points for the record 9th time in 2008. Johnson the leader, but don't look now because that 24 car, his teammate Jeff Gordon, is reeling him in. Now, a few minutes ago, we showed you the 00 car. Mike Bliss had some damage in the back, and he didn't do that on his own. He had a little bit of help.
Yeah, we told you the racing's really tight here, and coming up out of turn 2, you can see that he got a little help from the 22 of Dave Blaney.
Looks like Dave was getting a little bit of help from behind too with this 66 Scott Riggs.
Yeah, kind
it's
of
real tight. Yeah.
Just things stack up, and all of a sudden the guy in front of you checks up, and you're into him.
Word is, by the way, that double trouble in turn 1. The 28 car has gone around. Travis Kvapil bring out the first caution flag of the day here on lap 29.
Hold up.
Well, Jimmie Johnson had just got to the back of the field there to start lapping cars. He had just lapped Bill Elliott.
That's when the intensity level goes up on the back of the field. When that leader's coming, they want to stay on the lead lap.
See these guys racing down in. One Pablo Montoya gets into the 44 UPS Toyota of David Rudiman, who then gets into Travis Kvapil. So another one of those chain reaction deals.
So Dodge and the Toyota into Ford.
And Travis came out on the worst end of that deal.
Yeah, Kvapil was actually running 23rd, moving his way up toward the top 20.
Doesn't get a lot of damage. He does lose a lap, though. The leader, Jimmie Johnson, had come around him, put him down a lap.
Back it down, go through the bottom, inside. Go, keep digging.
Dave Blaney getting pretty loose there.
There's action everywhere.
Yeah. And I think part of that came from him trying to make sure that that car didn't come off the wall, so he had to cut pretty hard left.
You mentioned the 21 car had just been lapped, and he will get back. He'll get the free pass. Bill Elliott will get back on the lead lap.
Have a few cars making pit stops here. I would have thought everybody was going to stay out, but the 11 car, Denny Hamlin and Dale Jr. lead a lot of others coming in.
Yeah, Eric Almirola there, the 9 of Casey Kane. Ryan Newman is there, Bobby Labonte.
This will be a good chance for these guys to get off sequence. If their car's not right, they can come in here and get 4 tires. Shannon?
Dale Jr. says the car is really tight past that center. He's going to make an air pressure adjustment on that 88 car as those guys go around to the left side. It is 4 tires for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dave.
Denny Hamlin is already off pit road, having gotten Sunoco fuel in that car, 2 right side tires, and a track bar adjustment for a car that was a little bit loose in the center, and especially on the throttle.
We'll check on the strategy of why they came in this early as we are under caution for the first time today coming out here on lap 29. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Set for the restart of Martinsville, Virginia, under caution for the first time today. The 88 car, by the way, Earnhardt Jr. too fast entering pit road. He's had to restart now at the tail end of the longest line, which will put him back in 41st position, way behind. Here comes Gordon on the inside.
Wow, that was a bold move for Jeff Gordon, diving underneath Jimmy Johnson, getting into one.
I'm telling you, he's got an agenda today, and that's to get this car out front and lead as many laps as he can and let everybody know that he's the guy that they're going to have to beat here today if they want to get that grandfather clock.
I think he knows Jimmy Johnson's got a lot to lose there, so he was going to leave him that car width he needed getting into turn one.
That opens a door, though, for Jeff Burton right in the inside of Jimmy Johnson, if he can hang there.
Jimmy Johnson charges the corner in turn 3 to make sure he's clear and get back to the bottom.
A lot of these teams are pretty excited about the fact that the qualifying was rained out and they were going to start by points, but the 2014 was not one of them. They were adamant that with this brand new car, they would have won the pole.
And now they're up in the lead, so it's not a big deal as far as the racetrack's concerned, but they got the 8th best pit stall on pit road. That's where it might actually hurt this 2014. If we were able to qualify, they would have been a whole lot better position for a pit road spot.
We just joined our coverage. One caution flag, lap 28. Travis Quapple, chain reaction crash, bounced it off the wall. Minimal to no damage in the 28 car. The top 18 cars stayed on the racetrack. Everyone else came on to pit road for tires and fuel. Here's the 10 car of A.J. Allmendinger.
He had a great practice session yesterday, both of them actually. This car was real fast. We saw a little brake fire after one of the practices, so he was probably using a lot of brakes, but his car's fast.
He's got Denny Hamlin right on his bumper, and Denny Hamlin was one that came in and took on tires in that most recent caution. And we heard Earnhardt Jr. talk about that his car was too tight, or were they reporting that his car was too tight? Yesterday we heard him say during the practice session that he was way too loose, so apparently a little bit of an over-adjustment for those guys.
A.J. Allmendinger is the last car that did not take tires, so that'll be the first car that these guys with tires will get to. Oh, a little contact.
Get into the left rear right there.
That's Junior right there.
I'm sorry, Junior.
Yeah. He had to start dead last on that restart. He's trying to get up through there.
He's going to have to do a lot of that if he's going to get up through there, too, and keep himself on the lead lap.
But well, I tell you guys, this is a point in the race right now where these guys are really using these cars up, and the leaders, they got a little free ground up there. You see the air between the cars, and they're not bumper to bumper, but those guys in the back of the pack now, man, they are so tight to each other. They're burning the brakes up. You see smoke pouring out of the cars. This is a point where you got to let it breathe a little bit. Don't tear your equipment up early. So you got it at the end, like Andy talked about earlier in the show. And that's one thing I'm concerned about, these guys in the back. They're tearing their stuff up right now.
That's what I was going to say, Rusty. It's a lot easier to take care of your car if you're in the top 5 or 6 or actually top 10. If you're back there in the back, you've got to use a lot of car.
Yeah, you're up there like Jeff Gordon is right now. He can control the race. He can get out of the gas early, Andy, and kind of save those brakes. But the guys in the back, they're worried about getting lapped, so they're driving their brains out, and they're actually tearing the car up early. Not when you want to. You want to save it early. They just don't have that option right now.
Hey, Rusty, you did a lot more leading out front here, though, than you were at the back. So when you were that leader and catching these guys at the back, did you use some patience there, or did you just want to get them all a lap down as much as you could?
Well, I tried to get them down to lap down as much as I could, Dale. That's a good question. But also, you had to set the guys up. You had to know who you're dealing with. If you had a character that you knew was pretty rough and going to rough you up trying to get around him, you might give him more room than the others. But, man, right now you got to be careful when these guys are getting lapped. But look how hard they're driving, guys. I mean, they're bumper to bumper. They're hitting each other, sliding around. I mean, they're really concerned about going down a lap right now.
And, Rusty, one of the keys to your success here when you were driving that number 2 car over the years was you didn't drive the car that hard. You said you backed out a lot of times and didn't charge the corner.
Well, right now, at this point, what I'd be doing if I was Martin Truex or Kurt Busch or some of the guys like that, if I got enough room behind me, guys, I'm going to get out of the throttle early at the start-finish line, way early. Let that car coast in the corner like that right there. Stay off the brakes, save the equipment. But when they catch me and they start roughing me up, that's when I'm going to start driving back off.
What do you think's wrong with this 31 car right here? He's really slipped back. He's lost quite a few spots. Looked like he was good that first run. He ran Jimmy Johnson, basically kind of ran him down, and now he can't seem to keep up.
You know, we saw yesterday he wasn't that good on the speed chart and didn't pay that much. He got a little contact there with Greg Biffle and the 00 Mike Bliss. But it looked like Jeff Burton was struggling in practice yesterday, which is surprising because they've always been so good here.
Jeff Burton ran the most laps of any of the chasers in the final practice session. He ran over 80 laps. No one else ran nearly that many. Obviously, he's having problems here today. Jeff Gordon is our leader. You're watching ESPN on ABC. Great battle up front in Martinsville, Virginia. Teammates Jimmy Johnson trying to get back on the inside of Jeff Gordon. Had a half a car length a moment ago. As running back down, and Gordon pulls him off the corner. A little contact.
Yeah, I tell you what, Jeff Gordon's not giving his teammate any room there. He doesn't care if he's the points leader. He's going to battle him. And that's what we would expect from these two champions. Jimmy Johnson does take the lead away from him.
Look right back behind these guys, though. You got Carl Edwards. He's got that car rolling. He's been catching them about 2/10 a lap the last 5 or 6 laps.
DJ, your sources in the garage this morning told you to watch that 99 car. The fact that he's not won here or ever had a top 5 made no difference. They said that car could be very good today.
Yeah, they were talking about the long runs that he was making yesterday, that his car just didn't seem to fall off nearly as much as some of the others, and it just held a really consistent, fast speed, and we can see right now that he's gaining quite a bit on those two front leaders. Car looks good too. You can see him get down in. It didn't start. It looked like he had his hands full on the start of the race, but once the tires have built up, then he's been a lot better.
I think it's that splitter. They're hitting that splitter really hard on braking, and once those tires did build up enough, it seems like that splitter's just clear enough that it's not causing any problems at all.
84 car, Scott Speed, making his very first ever start in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Probably one of the toughest tracks to drive, and right in front of the 88 car Junior trying to make his way through the field.
Yeah, he's doing a nice job so far, Scott Speed, in his first effort here. See Junior trying to make his way up through. He's passed quite a few cars back here and trying to make his way after having to start at the tail end of the longest line.
He's passed some on the outside, too. He's made that outside groove work pretty good. He has to make up that ground he lost for the team there by speeding on pit road.
Yeah, Casey Kane's got a problem off of turn 4 here.
That car's not running at all, it doesn't look like.
I think he'd be going faster if he had any power, just like you said, Andy. It looks like he has no power.
That's going to bring a caution.
He can't even get down.
He's not going to be able to get to pit road.
No, he's actually stopping.
It shut off. It died. Alone, I can't get to the pit. It's cool.
Caution does come out here on lap 61.
Try your, check your steering wheel kill switch just to make sure.
Be the opportunity for the guys that pitted under that last caution to stay out and maybe steal a little track position. If they want to get off sequence, this is the time to do it.
Yeah, if they want to do that, but Denny Hamlin's made his way back to 11th. I don't know that if he'll do that. It looks like he's got a really good race car, so he might take this opportunity just to make sure that he doesn't get too far off sequence with these guys and get himself in trouble.
He may decide to come in with these guys, and actually they're still staying out. I don't know if pit road's open yet or not. Looks like it's still closed. I see the flag.
Top 18 stayed out on that first caution flag back on lap 29.
It's like you said, Hamlin has kind of driven his way back into the competition here. Almirola and Montoya, they may stay out here and try to get the lead.
Yeah, our first 11 are all chase guys. It's pretty interesting that we have that scenario that even after all the racing, the top 11 or 11 of our top 12 chasers, the only one outside is Junior back in 29th. And of course, he had that speeding on pit road penalty.
Very tight pit road. You got to pit on the curve there. Hard to get in, hard to get out. Got to have good neighbors. Got to have a lot of cooperation.
It's not too hard in this curve right here if you're Jimmy Johnson because there's nobody in front of you. That's the key thing. It's kind of hard to see your pit when you get there, but got a great exit.
Commitment line, left side tires across that stripe, and that means you are committed to pit road, and they will all come, the leaders, at 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, we're going to have almost everybody on pit road here. We'll have a couple of guys.
Yeah, the 8 car, he's staying out. He was one of the guys that pitted about 30 laps ago.
Yeah.
Let's go down to Jamie Little.
And Jeff Gordon just saying his car needs to drive off better. He can't touch the gas. They're going to drop the track bar about 3/4 of a round in 4 tires fuel for Jeff Gordon, the 24. Shannon?
Kevin Harvick says the car is loose in the middle. He's already added a round of front brake. Now they're just going to make some air pressure adjustment, trying to fix this 29 car up. Dave.
Yes, man, Jeff Patterson has already made a wedge adjustment to the 20 car. Entry is okay. Center is just a little bit tight. 4 tire change in the 20. Behind him, the 16 gets 2. Mike.
Jimmie Johnson saying he's a little bit free in and tight in the center. They'll make a wedge adjustment and take on 4 tires.
There's the congestion on the exit of pit road. They have an official that tells them they got to blend back up on the racetrack. Biffle up 3 spots. Edwards up a spot. Jeff Gordon lost 2. Reed Sorensen gaining 10 positions. A little pit strategy there for the 41. We'll break it down when we come back. Welcome back to the Tums QuikPak 500 in Martinsville, Virginia. Here's where the chase contenders are going to restart. 13 cars stayed on the racetrack. Most of these leaders came on the pit road. T. Dale Earnhardt Jr., one of the drivers who stayed out, and he will be all the way up in 6th position as the green flag waits for Eric Almirola to lead him down.
I'd like to say that's a good move on Junior's part to stay out there. He got tires not too long ago, and we saw they don't fall off that much.
Absolutely. He was back there trying to just struggle to stay on the lead lap. Now he's out there, got a little breathing room. He's got cars actually in front of him that he's faster than.
Yeah, this is a really dangerous time for Jimmie Johnson and Carl Edwards and those guys up in the front of the chase. They got a lot of traffic in front of them.
It's a great move with the 8 car and Ryan Newman. All these guys made that pit stop at about 30 laps under caution, and this is a great opportunity for them to steal that track position.
You see Ryan Newman, by the way, his teammate, the 2 car, back in the garage area, Kurt Busch, who won this race back in 2002, has a problem with the brakes and a brake caliper on the right rear.
It's kind of a strange place to have a brake problem in the rear. The fronts are the ones that really take all of the abuse. Jamie, what's going on with that car?
Well, they were leaking brake fluid on the track, and NASCAR said you have to have 4 working brakes, not 3. So they could have fixed them on pit road, but it would have been too difficult, too much at stake. They went ahead and brought that 2 car back to the garage to fix those brakes. He was complaining that they were really spongy.
Problems with the right rear brake there. Obviously, that can be an issue they got to chase. Well, let's go down to our Chevy cutaway car, Tim Brewer.
Hey, Jared, the brake bleeder is actually located at the top of the caliper right here. And what we actually do is have the guy sit inside the car and pump the pedal. What that does, it forces all the air and the fluid to this bleeder right here. And that's how we get all the air out of the caliper itself.
They're going to have to do that now when they put that new caliper on there to get all of that air out. But must have broken something in that caliper. They're having to change the entire unit.
Jamie McMurray making a move on the inside of the 28 car. Travis Kloppel, by the way, being shown a lap down. McMurray all the way up in 3rd position. The 88 car, by the way, Dale Earnhardt Jr. You see him back behind Casey Mears. There's a little pushing and shoving a moment ago down the turn between the 5 and the 88.
Dale Jr. pitted on lap 31 under caution. Came out in a decent spot. He was up there. He'd probably be leading the race if he hadn't gotten a penalty. He had to come back down pit road and start at the tail end of the longest line, and we ran about, 30 more laps, and he decided to stay out. Now he's running the top 5.
He would have restarted 21st, instead had to go back to 41st, and now this has worked out really well for him. This caution flag stayed on the racetrack. Shannon.
Doc, before that last pit stop you were just referring to, Dale Jr. saying that the car was really, really tight. They did make an air pressure adjustment, and before the last round of pit stops, came over the radio and said the car is pretty good on this run. Certainly that's what you're seeing from the 88 right now with that track position.
He led the most laps here in the spring race, 146 laps. Faded there toward the end, but still had a pretty good finish, 6th overall.
You ever see a battle? Tony Stewart trying to take away his spot from Greg Biffle. Greg Biffle took 2 tires there. I don't know if I've ever really seen you see Kyle Busch get into the corner of him, but Greg Biffle's falling back in a hurry. I haven't really ever seen 2 tires work at this racetrack.
Well, it's no tires work pretty good. 2 tires sometimes will upset the balance of the car.
Exactly.
Well, I tell you what, guys, I totally agree with you, Dale, about, 2 tires normally don't work, but we all know now this new car is so hard on right side tires. It works the rights a lot. It doesn't work the lefts a whole lot. So, hey, maybe this is going to pan out for Greg in this call. Get him some track position, and at least he'll know if it's going to work or not.
Yeah, he's definitely going to know if it's going to work. We see a battle for 2nd place here between Jamie McMurray and Ryan Newman. Jamie down the inside, a little contact there.
You know, going back to those 2 tires, I'd like to know it early that if I want to try it late, these 2 tires are going to work. It's probably a good time to try it instead of late in the race when you know it won't work or it will work.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't lose too much track position here and get himself too far behind. We see Dale Jr. trying to take the 4th spot away and does that from Casey Mears.
Well, an all-new Life on Mars, the next great cop show has arrived, starring Harry Keitel, Michael Imperioli, Jason O'Mara, all after an all-new Grey's Anatomy. It's Life on Mars, Thursday on ABC. That's Harvey Keitel, along with Michael Imperioli and Jason O'Mara. Great show.
Casey Kane and his team got their problem fixed. He's back out on the racetrack. He is 15 laps down, but we'll see what happens with Casey throughout the day. Find Jimmy Johnson. There's your leader. There's Jimmy Johnson. He's moving his way back towards the front. Already back in the top 5. We see Junior get into the 26 of Jamie McMurray.
He didn't get the brake on you there. He got you right in the back.
Jamie was having a nice run up in 3rd spot, but just a little contact off the corner, and all of that happened right in front of our points leader, Jimmy Johnson.
Doesn't take much here on the tight quarters at Martinsville. Watch the contact.
You can see how Junior was rolling through the corner there and got into the left rear of Jamie McMurray.
3rd caution flag of the day here in the first 81 laps. Contact out of turn 4. Still inside 100 laps here in Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. Working caution for the 3rd time of day. Coming out on lap 81. Contact coming out of turn 4 between the 88 car and 26. And a lot of buildup there on the racetrack, guys.
Yeah, you can see already down in turns 3 and 4. And this will get worse throughout the day. But when your tires hit that, it just wants to skid across there. And I believe that may have had a little something to do. We watched Dale Jr. get into this corner. His right side tires are going to get in that just a little bit and slide up into Jamie McMurray.
You know, McMurray was having a nice run. He was being held up by Ryan Newman. He was really faster than the 12, and he'd been trying to get by. And boy, that just seems like you guys can run. Really, you can run 200 miles an hour and not touch each other. But as soon as we slow down to 100, you got to run. You got to run into each other.
That's a good time to do that.
Yeah. Top 22 cars stayed on the racetrack. Others decided to come on the pit road. Guys, it's shaping up to be a typical Martinsville day, Alan.
Yeah, and I was curious watching that replay as well, Doc, about how Jamie McMurray slid wide in the corner. So both he and Junior slipped up in the corner. So either hit the same thing or they both just missed the brake pedal at the same time.
Well, I tell you, it looks like they both got a little aggressive. Junior really got that baby in the corner pretty deep and got up into him. He said on his radio, he said, maybe that's some of my fault because I know Jamie's been coming across the front of me. So that could have caused it too. But already we're seeing a little bit of tempers.
You drivers are so diplomatic. It looked to me like old Junebug ran down there and just knocked him around and went around him. Maybe he did get into some of that goo down there somehow.
So a little leapfrog pit strategy going on. The only 2 guys of a headline note, we'll call it at this point, that pitted under this caution would be Clint Boyer and Matt Kenseth. And Doc, their way back 34th and 35th.
Back in heavy traffic. By the way, the 9 car back on the racetrack. Casey Kane, who brought out the 2nd caution flag when the car just shut off. He went to the garage area and sat there for 15 laps. He is now being shown in 42nd position. Kurt Busch still in the garage working on those brakes. He would be shown in 43rd.
Ready to go green.
Dale Jr. under the attack there, attacking the 12, who's given a little shove there to Eric Almirola.
You see him stack up already, beating bumpers. Jimmy Johnson's already back up to 4th with those 4 fresh tires.
He had passed 11 cars, talking about Jimmy Johnson, in 7 laps. That's hard to do here at Martinsville.
He was getting it done. That's what's so good about his car and his setup that he runs is he's able to do that. He gets such a good bite off the corner that allows him to pass.
Up in the wall, the 0-1 Regan Smith, leading Rookie of the Year contender, spins it around, has had contact.
Get her fired up, man.
Oh, a little fire. Still see a little fire in the wheel right there, the 01. That could be maybe a brake issue.
I'm sure with this, we'll see the replay. Just gets into the corner too hard. And may not have had
I think he had a problem with his front. I think he had a problem with the front brakes, and when he got on the brakes, the rear's locked up.
00 gets the free pass, by the way, Mike Bliss, and the 01 was running in 12th position before that spin. Lots of brake fluid, lots of smoke, and a little bit of fire out of the right front of Regan Smith's Chevrolet. His car, the one that brought out the caution here.
Yeah, it looks like these guys have burned a O-ring out of the right front caliper. And when he went in that corner, he pushed that brake pedal, and all the fluid just runs out on that hot rotor, and that's why you see that fire. They're going to have to go behind the wall here and change this.
That's a terrible feeling as a driver to go down in that corner and you slam on the brakes and it goes all the way to the floor. Then you're wondering how you're going to stop it before it hits the wall.
He goes to the garage area. His teammate Eric Almirola is the leader. He has led the last 29 laps, making only his 4th ever start at this historic racetrack. Ryan Newman in 2nd, Dale Earnhardt Jr. 3rd, Jimmy Johnson in 4th.
Almirola brought him down pretty slow. He got him a nice little jump there, but it kind of stacks things up when they get down into turn 1, even more so than what they normally are. Jamie?
I'll tell you, there's a lot of anticipation for this young man, Eric Almirola, coming into Martinsville. Why? Because his best finishes have been at short track races. 8th at Bristol. He has a good car. He said there's room for improvement. Right now, he's enjoying that clean air. Says the car is just a bit loose.
He's doing a nice job out front for sure.
Tight quarters back here, 20 car, Tony Stewart, 29 of Harvick. There's Kyle Busch, who had his only top 10 in the chase thus far, finishing 4th last week at Charlotte. Looking across at Kevin Harvick. Boy, that's close here in Martinsville.
Yeah, I think Harvick was letting Tony Stewart go by. He'd been on his bumper there, but I don't think he anticipated the 18 jumping up there. He's going to race him a little harder for that spot.
That's 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th there on the screen. Biffle behind them and Hamlin.
Yeah, he has no intention as the 18 pulls back in line now. He realized that too. Shannon?
Doc, for this race, Kevin Harvick and his team, they went to Sandusky Speedway in Sandusky, Ohio to test for this racetrack for Martinsville Speedway. The test was so successful that Todd Barrier, Kevin Harvick's crew chief, told me we got to work on so many different things in practice this weekend, things that we can use for other races in this chase. He also told me we have a top 5 car here today.
Shannon, Richard Childress told me in the garage this morning he thought Kevin Harvick would be very, very good today at this racetrack. Mike?
Well, Doc, just behind Kevin Harvick, you can see the 18 car of Kyle Busch. Well, he was hung out on the outside fighting to get back down in that bottom groove. The day has not gone the way he would liked. He's having a lot of problems with his brake system right now, saying he can't stop the way he wants, and because of that, he's getting beat into the corner, he's getting beat in the center of the corner and off the corner. He's very frustrated, and he's been frustrated for about 30 laps now, guys.
Jimmy Johnson, how patient will he be up there behind the 12 car of Ryan Newman?
If Ryan's smart, he'll just let Jimmy Johnson have this spot. That's what happens here a lot of times. The guys that are a little bit slow, and you don't have to be but a 10th off and kind of be in the way. These guys will not have a lot of patience with you, and then gives them too many opportunities to get into your bumper and turn you around.
Yeah, he does what you said, lets him get by on the inside.
Yeah, he knows how good Jimmy's been here. There's no reason to hold him up. He's got Dale Jr. there trying to go to the outside of him now and making that pass. Here comes Jeff Burton on the inside of. And Greg Biffle's trying to make that outside work. We saw that here a number of years ago, but as they put down new concrete, it didn't seem to work as good. Dave?
And DJ, he's been doing that since the start of the race. Sort of been monitoring how he's been running since that 2-tire stop, and he's been losing just a couple of positions, complaining that the car is tight. But crew chief Greg Irwin told me this morning that one of his big concerns here, as you can imagine, is managing traffic. And right now, since they managed some traffic by getting the 2-tire stop and getting some positions, they're trying not to lose too many before the next stop.
Just made a pass on Michael Waltrip on the high side, so he did a nice job of maneuvering around there. So this 2-tire deal might work out for him.
That's 16th, 17th, and 18th. The 1-car Truex being shown back in 18th position. There's the battle.
Got a car around here on Front Straight.
2-car of Kurt Busch that had just come back on the racetrack after being in the garage area some 24 laps. The 0-1, by the way, has now gone to the garage after having the brake issues. We'll update his progress. Regan Smith.
And we are still under green here. We said 2 spun, but NASCAR saw that he was able to keep going and no caution flag. See Jeff Burton on the back of Carl Edwards right here trying to move forward.
These are new tires now working against these old tires. You can see Junior now, he just kind of yields to those guys. He's just going to try to maintain.
That's Gordon back in 5th position. Edwards 4th. looking back from Carl Edwards Ford. Only the second race that Eric Almirola has led in his NASCAR Sprint Cup career. He led at Talladega for 3 laps and has a very good car here in early laps here, Jamie.
And under caution, Doc, he was talking to his team, kind of giving them feedback on what he's feeling. Take a listen.
Under these cautions, the cars pull up all the rubber on the racetrack. And so when you cross over the asphalt onto the concrete, you hit fresh concrete, you know, and it grips the front tires real hard, gets me loose. Then when it gets rubbered up, I don't get near as loose then.
Great feedback from the rookie driver, continues to lead here in the 8 car, but the 99's all over him, guys.
That is great feedback, boy. You get that kind of feedback from the driver, and it really helps you kind of assess your adjustments during the day.
Yeah, we'll get back with him after this track really gets rubbered up here in a little while. He'll see another change in this racetrack that he probably hasn't seen before, too. But he's doing a great job out front. If he looks in his mirror, he's going to see our current points leader, Jimmy Johnson, closing in on him.
Jimmy Johnson just 0.8 of a second back. Working lap 111 of 500. It is a long way and a long day at Martinsville, Virginia to keep the fenders clean. Jimmy Johnson on the move, trying to reel in Eric Almirola. Under caution again at Martinsville, Virginia. One of our chase contenders involved at 17 of Matt Kenseth. Damage on the rear of his car. We'll update what happened a moment ago after we cover these pit stops. There's the leader, Eric Almirola, who, remember, had not pitted since lap 31. Headed down at 30 miles an hour. Jamie.
And that strategy played to their favor. They started 15th and took the lead. They're going to take 4 tires here for Eric Almirola. They're going to change the air pressure on the right sides only. Mike?
Jimmy Johnson still a little bit free, and they're going to take 4 tires and pull right side spring rubbers. Going to try to free him up just a little bit. 4 tire change here in a Sunoco, a full can of Sunoco race fuel on the 4018.
Tony Stewart get by. The 2 car, the 20 car took only 2 tires. Tony Stewart, that's why he was able to gain 9 spots and go around Jimmy Johnson. Denny Hamlin likewise tire strategy. Martin Truex up 10, and Montoya got a very good car. Here's the damage on the 17. Let's show you what happened up in turn 3 a moment ago. The 78 car and the 17 car.
See, Matt Kenseth just gets real loose. I don't know if that tire went down the right rear before that, or whether this contact what blew the tire out.
Yeah, it looked like he just got in there maybe a little bit hard and started to wheel hop. You can see him lose it there. Get into Joe Nemechek, who's into the wall hard.
Well, Joe got his car torn up bad in that deal. He's got the worst end of that.
The 07 gets our All-State good hands move of the race. Now watch Clint Boyer get through this. He was about 5 cars back behind him.
Yeah, we were just talking about.
Stay low, come on. Stay in the gas, come on. Up high.
Yeah, nice move right there.
Come on, good job, buddy.
Wow, great move by Boyer, who was closer than we thought, only 2 cars back. So he gets the All-State good hands move of the race. And those kind of moves can possibly save not only a race, but save a shot at a championship. Back in a moment. Jamie McMurray currently leads the Tums QuikPak 500 in Martinsville. The top 6 drivers opting to stay on the racetrack. Bobby Labonte in the 43 car. There's Clint Boyer making a move underneath him to take the 2nd spot away.
He made that bold move like we saw Jeff Gordon earlier on Jimmy Johnson getting down into turn 1.
Yeah, Clint did a nice job there, and he missing that accident over there. We were just getting ready to talk about how he was kind of in a dangerous position before that caution came out of possibly getting lapped. So now he's up front.
How about Ken Schrader in the 96 car back in 5th position? Kenny languishing back there early on in heavy traffic. Oh, 3 wide. Watch Jimmy Johnson make a move underneath the 70 car.
Wow. Again, Denny Hamlin split the 70 car there. You don't do that a lot. You split them sometimes, but you don't want to be 3 wide when you get to these corners at Martinsville. See a great battle here. Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson. Carl Edwards right behind him, along with Martin Truex.
Well, Jimmy's being really aggressive here. I know he's been good here over the years, but we're still not even 150 laps in, and he's driving this thing like it's the last 100 laps.
It's a great battle right here. Two really good drivers here at Martinsville.
It's going to be interesting to see where Schrader goes. That's who's going to be able to come out of this in the better shape. I don't think they'll want, well, I was going to say they don't even want to go 3 wide again, but Denny Hamlin acts like for a second he might want to, but Schrader moves up the racetrack. Jimmie Johnson to the inside.
Battling for 6th position and on the inside. Let's listen to Jimmie Johnson's radio.
Going great. Jimmy, you said you didn't have the magic. I was trying to get you to lead me somewhere. What do you mean you didn't have the magic? What was wrong?
I was just, earlier it was just doing what I could and would get just a little bit from time to time. Didn't have anything really wrong. I just didn't have the magic.
That's kind of hard to adjust for. Not having the magic. That's why you heard Chad saying he was just trying to figure out what he was saying.
Yeah, and Jimmy's car's been so good here so many years, and he has too, that I think his expectations of it are pretty high, because everything we've seen him do, he's been able to run right back up through the pack and towards the front.
I think he's found the magic again, because his car is extremely fast right now.
We mentioned our leader, Jamie McMurray. He's the car that spun back on lap 81 to bring out the 3rd caution flag today. Very good car in Happy Hour. Was the best Ford, 5th overall in the final practice yesterday. There's the 20 car of Tony Stewart being shown in 3rd spot. Boyer is 2nd. Yes. There's McMurray and Boyer, then Stewart.
Sometimes you just have to not get too excited when things happen to you. And Jamie got spun. I'm sure he was upset that that happened because he was running up in 3rd spot. But now he finds himself out in front. We see right in the middle of this mix here is your man, Juan Pablo, Andy.
There's my sleeper. He's making his way back up through there. If he'll just run right for that 24, he'll take him right where he needs to go.
Yeah, he's not quite up to my guy there, the 1 car, but he'll get there eventually.
Yeah, just a few laps. Shannon?
Andy, I heard you talking earlier in the race about the fact that Juan Pablo Montoya, one of the reasons why he's good on this track is because of the fact that he's a road course specialist and the turns are very similar. Well, on the flip side of that, the team told me that he is so aggressive with those brakes that last time they were here at this track, their brakes were completely done at the end of the race. They're constantly coming over the radio, reminding Juan Pablo Montoya, save your brakes.
You know, it seems the better that the brake systems get, and they've gotten so much better over the last 10 years, the better they get, the more the drivers try to take advantage of that.
You're exactly right. Yeah, as they came up with better stuff, things that stop better, you could drive it in the corner a little bit further, and you could actually abuse them a little bit more if you had to be on down in the center and when you're in traffic like this.
Well, I tell you guys, brought up a good point about Montoya. You got to remember one thing, guys. He's came from Formula One racing, IndyCar racing, where those cars are so light that they can drive them as hard as they want every single lap, deep into the corners, and no brake problems. And Andy Dale, as you guys well know, man, you just can't do that with these things.
Well, I guess as long as it's at the end of the race is whenever they're used up, you're okay. But, man, how do you know exactly? It's hard to tell as a driver just how much pedal is going away sometimes, isn't it, Russell?
It sure is, guys. And I'm seeing a lot of brake problems going on right now. A lot of wheel hopping going on. You know, we saw David Reagan in practice. He wheel hopped and crashed his car. The 17 car, Matt Kenseth, just then wheel hopped getting into turn 3, spun it around and crashed. And we got some type of problem going on with the 01 of Regan Smith, so it's pretty early with all these brake problems. Hey, and I better throw in Kurt Busch, too. He's had a brake problem.
They opened up their home to help parents in need. Now these heroes get the help they need to save their lives. ABC's Extreme Makeover Home Edition, all new tonight on ABC. 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central. Some of these cars are going to need some extreme makeovers when this day is over because they are pushing and shoving.
I think Tony Stewart's got a real problem with that splitter hitting right front. I think they might have to address that issue before the day's over because that's just causing him too much trouble.
Yeah, causing trouble too as we see this group car. But Tony Stewart took on 2 tires. I just am not convinced that that's going to work here. We see the 8 car here who came in as the leader last time. They had some trouble on their pit stop with the right rear. He's fallen back here too as they've gotten back up to speed. But the right rear tire changer really had quite a few problems, so he lost a lot of time on pit road.
This is 14th, 15th, and 16th. The 88, by the way, Earnhardt Jr. is in 13th position. The 18 of Kyle Busch moving in to this fray. Jimmie Johnson will take the 2nd spot away.
And once again, this car just really looks dialed in. I think you're right, Andy. Whatever that magic he was looking for, he might have found.
if you'll watch this 48 car, you don't see that smoke trailing out from under it like we've seen out of Tony Stewart and a lot of other cars going through the corner. They've got this car set just perfect. Mike?
Well, guys, they thought they had the magic before this race even started. Spoke with Chad Knaus this morning to ask him which car they were using. It surprised me a little bit when he told me this is not the car they had here back in the spring. Remember, that was a car that led well over 100 laps. Chad even said he felt like it was the best car on the racetrack back in the spring. So obviously I asked him, why not bring it? He said, this is the Richmond car. It's a lot better. I also asked him, as you size yourself up against the competition, who do you think can run with you? He said, well, I think our biggest competition today is ourselves. And it's starting to look that way, isn't it?
You just don't want to beat yourself here at a short track like Martinsville, and they are not thus far. Very smart for Jimmie Johnson. Worked his way back through traffic, back up front. He has now led twice for 43 laps. Here's a pretty good battle going on. Juan Pablo Montoya in the 29 car of Kevin Harvick. That is 9th and 10th.
See that back bumper kind of beat in on that 42 car. I wonder if that's happened with this battle. He's had some battle scars already.
Yeah, and these two have a little bit of history as far as beating and banging. And it was on a road course, I think, that they got into a little bit of that.
I think that was Watkins Glen a year ago.
I'm sure they've forgotten all about that, though, as Kevin Harvick tries to make the move to get on the inside of Montoya.
This is the last short track race of the season, so short track racing where rubbing is racing, as Harry Hogg said, and paybacks take place.
Just know that here that's going to be part of it. Contact's going to be part as we see Kevin Harvick try to outdrive 42 down into the corner and take that spot away. Dale Jr. trying to follow him right through.
I saw Montoya's glove out the window. I think he was just going to motion these guys by. That was a real smart move at this point of the race. That's the best way to get spun out, is to be holding up faster race cars.
Perfect example, Andy. You're exactly right.
Our leader is Jamie McMurray. By the way, the 0-1 of Regan Smith back on the racetrack after being in the garage area to replace that right front brake caliper. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Take a look at our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge. Which chaser will get their first Martinsville Cup win today? Will it be A, Greg Biffle, B, Carl Edwards, C, Clint Boyer, or D, Kyle Busch? To play, text the word crew to 191 on your AT&T wireless phone and send in your answer. The results will be shown later in today's race. Remember, standard text rates will apply. That is, if any of those guys can beat this 48 car, which is really closing in on Jamie McMurray.
Yeah, they got their work cut out if they're going to handle that 48 car today. Obviously, a lot of racing to go, just under 350 laps, but Jimmie Johnson has established himself once again as the man to beat here.
They're also catching lap traffic up ahead, slower cars that they're going to be putting a lap down.
Nice job by Jamie McMurray to stay out front here, though. Doing a really solid job with tires a little bit older than what Jimmie Johnson has.
You know, just give Jimmie Johnson the spot. Good heads up, smart racing.
Yeah.
Word is, by the way, that the 26 car for McMurray will have a different crew chief in 2009. Let's take a look at our Ford up to speed, starting out with Mike Massaro.
Doc, with just 5 races remaining, it's hard not to look at the big picture with the 48 team. Talking with Chad Knaus this morning, I asked him about the 69-point advantage they had and how it might affect the way they race going forward. He said, we're not going to change a thing. We need to go after maximum points. He said, we learned a very valuable lesson back in 2004. He said, that year, we lost the championship by 8 points. He said, looking back, I can tell you 50 ways we could have gained 10 points. Because of that, they're going after every point they possibly can today, and certainly going for the win. Jamie?
What a great week it's been for Jamie McMurray, sitting second right now, coming off his best finish of the year at Charlotte. Then on Monday, he raised $110,000 in the Jamie McMurray Foundation Golf Tournament, of course, for autism. And now here he runs second after spinning and starting 20th. It's been a good charge. He thought he had a bag on the cover. The temperatures were going up, but so far so good. Dave?
Jamie, Tony Stewart took on 2 tires that last time. Has driven from 7th up to 3rd on this run. And probably not surprised his car is so good, but his crew chief might be. Greg Zipadelli told me this morning, we struggled all day yesterday. Our car was only okay at 1 point during the practice. I guess they started tuning from the right point, Jamie.
And they were tuning in the right direction for the 24 car as well. Jeff Gordon says he's pretty happy with the car. Last pit stop, lap 116, they put some wedge in, a track bar adjustment. And Jeff said, if we have a little more bite, will be money. Mike?
Clint Boyer's been pretty consistent with the way he's described his car. He's been saying it's been tight, tight, tight. Can't get off the corner low. Carl Edwards, on the other hand, he's been pretty satisfied with his race car. He's been coached by his crew chief, Bob Osborne, throughout the course of the race, just telling him, just take it easy, be very patient. Your lap times are every bit as good as the leader.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming off his worst chase finish last weekend at Lowe's Motor Speedway, 36th. He's been battling tight conditions with his car all race long. He says right now the car skates the nose of the car through the center, but he was definitely looking to Martinsville here for a solid finish. He's led the most laps in 2 of the last 3 races. Tony Eury Jr. told me this could be a race that we could win. Jamie?
Martin Truex Jr. behind him. This isn't a track he typically likes, but he said this is the best car he's ever had here. Very happy with it in practice, 8th and 9th on the board, but they pointed out on the lap tracker they had the fastest average, and we have caution, guys.
Trouble on the racetrack, the 18 in the wall. Kyle Busch, the 77. Sam Hornish also up there. The 70 stopped. Tony Raines behind the 18.
It was really kind of weird. The 18 car was up against the wall, and then all of a sudden you see 2 other cars get up against the wall right behind him in kind of separate incidents.
Right side damage. You see the right front tire down on Kyle Busch's car.
The likely culprit there would be a melted bead. Same thing happened in 77.
77, all 3 of them.
I think this happened in the same lap with about 3 cars.
Yeah, Kyle was running in 15th position, and not far behind him, Sam Hornish and the 70 of Tony Raines.
You see the 70 car
right
also.
tires blown right there.
That is 3 right front tires that went down at the exact same time. Pits are closed, but these cars will probably come down pit road regardless. The penalty for pitting when the pit road is closed is starting at the end of the longest line. Okay, there goes Kyle Busch's tire. He goes up against the wall, and he sits there for quite a while. I mean, it was a few seconds. Then behind him, you'll see some other car. Here comes the 70 car. And then right behind him is the 77, Sam Hornish. It was
That's a pretty strange deal. I don't know that we've ever seen anything exactly like that happen, but don't know if there was something on the racetrack that all of these guys might have run over, or if it's just a coincidence that it happened. See Kyle Busch going to his pit.
the brakes just make so much heat here that it's actually the tires become the kind of the weak link, because it can only take so much temperature at that bead area right at the wheel.
They are going to hold the 18 car, we are being told by NASCAR, 2 laps for intentionally bringing out the caution flag. You cannot stop on the racetrack. See the official standing in front of the car with a hand up. NASCAR says if you have a problem, you can get to pit road. They want you to get there. Here are the leaders on the pit road. Let's check in with Jamie.
And Jamie McMurray was following the lead of the 48. He said he's just a bit loose. He put one round in that front brake, and it made it better. Air pressure adjustment, 4 tires for the 26. Dave?
And guys, the 20 car is going to take on 4 tires. Just an air pressure adjustment right now. Needs a little bit more forward bite on that car. Mike?
Jimmy Johnson saying he's a little bit loose, but otherwise not too bad. He's a little concerned, however, he might be overusing the brake getting into the corner. They'll make a 4-tire change, also a wedge and track bar adjustment on the 48 car.
Johnson, Gordon, McMurray, Edwards. Big Edwards up a spot, Stewart back 1.
Rudeman up 11 spots, Vickers up 13 spots.
16 cars stayed on the racetrack, by the way. Greg Biffle being shown as the leader. Now, let's go over the wall with front tire carrier Adam Mosier out of Iowa for the 41 car.
Tire right in front of me. Oh, go. Watch him take off 5 on the right side. Tire on. 5 on. Run around. Off the left side. Go.
Tight quarters, quick action on pit road for the 41 car of Reed Sorensen. Jimmy Johnson, how good has he been? 4 wins at Martinsville Speedway 3 times in the last 4 trips. He certainly here on Sunday afternoons has been the last man standing.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Aflac. Ask about it at work. Ford, who invites you to tune into the Ford Championship Weekend on ABC and ESPN November 15th and 16th. And Sprint, featuring NASCAR Nextel Cup Series updates at sprint speed.
Completing caution number 6 on the day, Greg Biffle, who stayed on the racetrack, becomes our 5th different leader, picking up those bonus points. Right behind him, Jimmy and Jeff. Green flag waves. That's a 17, the lap car of Matt Kenseth, being shown a lap down. He's the first car a lap down. Remember, they did hold Kyle Busch 2 laps in the pits. He's being shown now 3 laps down in 38th position.
He continues his bad chase races. Just one more problem.
The reason for the caution flag a moment ago, we had 3 different cars, all have right front tire issues in the same end of the racetrack.
These brakes just get so hot, and they put all that heat into this wheel, and what happens, it transfers into the tire. The tire won't take but so much heat, and finally it melts the bead and the air just goes flying out of the tire. Can you tell us a little more about this, Brewer?
Hey, Andy, I think I know the philosophy behind this. Folks, the fluid, it boils. It gives the driver an indication that, hey, things are getting real hot. When the fluid boils, that's one thing. But when they melt the O-ring out behind the piston right there, that's another thing. But as it transfers the heat from the rotor, what it does, it melts this beaded area right here, and this is going to be the end result right here. And this is a melted bead that we got off of Kurt Busch's car up here last race.
Tim, that looks exactly like the tires we saw being pulled off those cars. All that heat there in the bead. And by the way, Kyle Busch had complained that he was having brake issues about 25 laps ago.
Well, I tell you what, guys, those brake issues, these brake builders keep building better and better brakes, but the bigger they make the brakes, the hotter stuff gets. You see Jimmy Johnson passing Greg Biffle on the bottom, at least trying to. Looks like he's got it cleared right now. But boy, I tell you, they use those brakes hard. They get hot. And it does that. I mean, but to have 3 of them in the same corner was something I've never seen in my life. It's just a big coincidence right there.
Yeah, you're right, Rusty. The brakes used to be the limiting factor. They would get hot, boil the fluid before these tires would blow out. Now the brakes are so good that the tires become the weak link.
It sure has, Ian. And it seems like the more you use these brakes, because you got big brakes, it just creates a ton of heat. If they could ever fix that heat problem, then we'd have no problems. But now we've got all this heat, and they can't get rid of it.
Greg Biffle, sort of the sitting duck. His tires some 42 laps older than the guys that have gone by him now. And now Gordon and Johnson have gone by.
I wonder why this 16 car stayed out. Dave, can you tell us?
I sure can. I talked to Greg Irwin about that. He said, our car was so much better out in front, or at least near the front of this pack, than it was back in the pack. Remember, they tried 2 tires a bit earlier, so he said, I wanted to get 4, I wanted to stay out and get the track position right now because the balance is halfway decent. A little bit tight for Greg, but he wanted the track position more than anything else.
He will be credited in for leading 9 laps. And the 7 car a moment ago, Robbie Gordon's abruptly slowed on the racetrack and headed back to the garage area.
Oh, we see Greg Biffle slide that left front and getting into turn 3. You don't want to do that very many laps. Put a flat spot on that tire and it'll cause you a lot of problems. He's going to yield to Jamie McMurray right here.
Yeah, Greg's got him some track position back, so there's no reason to race Jamie right there, who has fresh tires on. Just get himself locked in there and run some solid laps here, and they can run enough. Then he can find himself back in a good spot for the next pit sequence.
Yeah, he may have to dial a little bit of that front breakout because he's definitely sliding the left front. If I was his crew chief, I'd be telling him just float it in the corner, back the corner up just a little bit. Greg just drives really hard down in there. You see that left front tire just slide. Wisely, he gets off that brake pedal and lets the car go up the racetrack, and that way he doesn't hurt the tire anymore.
And we've talked about Greg Biffle, this not being one of his better racetracks, and I think that's exactly one of the reasons why he has a difficult time here. As you see Carl Edwards trying to make the pass to the inside of him now, is that this isn't a racetrack, and in particular with these newer cars, that you can really attack the corners. You get yourself in more of a problem than what you do in making time.
Greg Biffle had led 6 total laps at this racetrack in 11 previous visits. He's led 9 today. Denny Hamlin back in heavy traffic. Remember, he won here back in the spring. Had some tire strategy late in that race. Working his way underneath the 83 car. Brian Vickers. They are basically 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th there. There's Harvick behind Vickers.
Denny Hamlin's one of those drivers that has a lot of discipline as far as getting his car down in the corner and getting it turned in the middle and getting off the corner with good grip. Dave?
Yeah, 2 tires didn't work so great for them near the end of the run that last time. But remember, and I want to throw this out there because you guys were wondering about 2-tire strategy all day long. Doc, you mentioned it. At the end of this race, the final pit stop, they did take on just 2 right side tires and had just enough time to hold off Jeff Gordon at the end of that thing.
There's the 31 car of Jeff Burton. Started on the outside front row. Grew up about 30 minutes from here in South Boston, Virginia. Won this race back in the fall of 1997. And I tell you, we told people yet last week in the garage area, probably one of the most popular drivers overall in the garage. His nickname is the Mayor. And I'm sure drivers in the chase would tell you if they couldn't win this championship, they'd like to see Jeff Burton win it.
He's definitely the spokesman down there in the garage area now because he just has a good feel for what where the sport is, and he has good advice for a lot of the younger guys.
Well, after last weekend's efforts at Charlotte pulling off the big win, we asked Jeff Burton about being a threat to win the title this year.
Well, I think it confirms to outside people that we're a threat. We have believed all along that we're a threat, as I think anyone in the chase would believe they're a threat. We believe that we're a strong team. We also, it's clear to us that we've got to be better than we were in the first 26 races if we're going to win a championship.
Certainly is, and he wanted to be off the radar screen, so under the radar, but not anymore after that performance, those last laps at Charlotte and the run here today, being very, very careful. He's certainly a contender. There's a 6 car, David Reagan. We mentioned he had to go to a backup car after contact. They had a wheel hop incident yesterday. Started at the back of the pack, and look where he's driven this car up in the top 20.
Been very patient. He's worked his way into the top 20.
A nice solid effort so far to this point. It would be easy that you could get yourself into a lot of trouble in trying to make those gains too quickly, but David's done a nice job. See right behind him is Ryan Newman and Elliott Sadler there, and I talked to Elliott. He wasn't very optimistic about his chances, but he's been able to stay on the lead lap, and he's in the 20th spot right now.
Probably one of the most gallant efforts we saw back in the spring when Elliott Sadler had back pain and was able to drive it at home in the top 15. A little contact there between Reagan and Almirola, a couple of the young guns.
See Ryan Newman back here also in this battle. He was up running in the top 5 earlier as they stayed out on the racetrack, but it looked like he has a pretty good car. But it's interesting to watch as these guys get back in traffic just how much more difficult it is for them.
Back up front, Jimmy Johnson. We've had 7 lead changes among 5 different drivers, and Johnson has led 4 times for 71 laps, moving in on lap 200 of 500. You're watching ESPN on ABC. '19 car bringing out caution number 7 on the day. He was running in 19th position. Elliott Sadler out of Emporia, Virginia, one of 3 Virginia natives in the field. Trying to get the car turned back around. We'll show you what happened to him. By the way, the 17 car, Matt Kenseth, gets a break. He will get the free pass and get back on the lead lap.
See Elliott battling with the 8 car of Eric Almirola here. Just a little bit of a misjudge on the part of the 8 car there, it looked like.
That's not the direction you want to be headed when you go in the corner.
Looked like he was just trying to get back to the bottom of the racetrack there, and unfortunately misjudged that just a little bit.
Pits are open. We know that Sadler will come in with that damaged car.
All the leaders are staying out right here so far. You see David Rudeman making a move to pit road.
Rudeman was up in the 8th spot.
Leaders had just pitted 32 laps ago, so they will stay on the racetrack by and large here with 3 laps to go to lap 200. Back in a moment.
Sock'em kind of day so far here at Martinsville, Virginia. final short track race of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season, being led by Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon, and we're less than a lap from the restart. And we're seeing a lot of brakes and a lot of fenders starting to get torn up.
Brad, I don't think I've ever seen so many brake problems this early in my life.
I tell you what, it's absolutely what we thought it would be as far as a close racing. But you're right, seeing all these right front tires go down with the beads melting, it's been very, very interesting. It has to start putting a little bit of doubt, though, in some of these racers' minds about those right front tires.
Now, here's something to think about. Will Jimmy Johnson allow Jeff Gordon by to lead some laps for some bonus points shortly after this restart?
No, absolutely not. You don't let him lead anything.
It may be in the works. You just wait and see. Green flag, Doc.
Well, we'll see what happens here. Jimmy Johnson, is he feeling benevolent, or why would he, to get back there and get where people can beat and bang on you? They come charging up off turn 2. By the way, the 7 car of Robbie Gordon back in the garage area. He was 34th in owner's points, having a rear end gear replaced. Hope to be back on the racetrack here very shortly. 2 car, Kurt Busch, trying to get around the leader there. He's being shown 24 laps down in 39th position.
Kurt Busch really giving a good fight on the bottom right here under Jimmy Johnson. And Jimmy's got a great car, so looks like Kurt's got his car handling pretty good. Had that brake issue earlier.
If you're Jimmy Johnson, do you battle the 2 car, or do you let him go and then go back by him in a few laps?
Well, I mean, he has to battle him because he needs that, to be out front. But that 2 car's 24 laps down. I don't know why he's giving such a race here, unless it's he's just having a little fun. As long as he doesn't slip up and get into Jimmy Johnson, I think everything will be fine. But Jeff Gordon's his pace is running out.
Yeah, and Jimmy's problem was if he let the 2 car go, the 24 was going to jump in behind him and take the lead. And he didn't want that to become a freight train and end up back in 4th or 5th.
McMurray now back in 3rd spot. He will go around Kurt Busch. Carl Edwards will follow him, and the train goes by. There's Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the 88 being shown back in 5th position.
Going back to Jimmy Johnson, he was talking earlier about how to win this title, and that's to get all the points possible at every one of these races. The way to do that is to lead the most laps and win the race. So I don't think he's going to give anybody anything today.
Jimmy Johnson came in here with a 69-point lead at Martinsville, halfway home in the chase. In the last 2 years, the driver who has led the point standings coming into Martinsville has not won the championship. A year ago, it was Jeff Gordon. 2 years ago, it was Jeff Burton. And neither year did those drivers go on to become a champion.
Yeah, but the difference is this is Jimmy Johnson leading the points. He's the guy that ran them down and passed them and went on to win the championship. So, that's a big difference. And this is a team that has the momentum, and in these races, they do a terrific job. You see Greg Biffle battling with Denny Hamlin here on the racetrack. This is for the 7th spot.
A little more on Biffle, Dave.
And I just want to give you guys that number that the 16 team is looking at. Whoa, little tire mark right there. That'll fix the 6 number. 21. That is the position on the track that they had right before they stayed out for that caution. So right now, battling for 7th is not bad. It's a lot better than 21st.
Yeah, we see right in front of Denny Hamlin there, you saw the 8 car, and he is now a lap down. He'd been leading this race earlier, and you saw the contact that he had with Elliott Sadler, and in making repairs to that car on pit road the last time, they lost a lap, so he is now 1 lap down, back in the 32nd spot.
Here's another battle. These cars have been side by side for over a lap, maybe a lap and a half now.
14th and 15th, Reagan and Montoya. Behind them is Newman.
We've had some reports that Montoya might be running out of brakes at some point, so I don't think that he can push it as hard as he wants to right now. Shannon?
Well, Dale, Andy picked Juan Pablo Montoya as his sleeper, and exactly what you just said, the team saying that he's struggling with those brakes. I told you earlier in the race how Juan Pablo Montoya is so rough on those brakes, but the good news is that the car is starting to come around. It was really loose to start this race. Right now, Juan Pablo Montoya says it's definitely a lot tighter.
Shannon right behind him, pretty good battle for 16th spot as Vickers wants it and just nudges his way underneath the 12 car of Ryan Newman.
Andy, we heard Gil Martin talk about that very thing about the brakes would be good if they could make the car good for Clint Boyer before this race started. That's the same thing. You heard him say that Montoya's car wasn't as good, so he's having to use the brakes more than what he would like to.
Yeah, that's the problem. If you got a great handling car, you don't have to use the brakes that much. But when it's not handling, you have to use the brake to make the car do something that it's not wanting to do on its own.
And especially back in all the traffic he's been encountering for the entire day.
And right now he's got the 83 car and the 44 car there of Bruneman that have tires. Brian Vickers and Newman have new tires on that last caution flag.
3 Childress cars, the RCR cars, the 07 of Boyer, the 29 of Harvick, and the 31 of Burton, all running together, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And although Clint Boyer has not won here, we asked him about the fact that he seems to feel pretty comfortable at this very tight half-mile track.
This is a track where, you know, over the last couple of years, I've been, you know, worried about getting to and didn't want to run here because you're worried about running bad. I look at it now as an opportunity. This is one of the tracks that I have to improve on and get better at to win a championship someday. And I have to learn from these guys. And we're starting up front with them and racing with them all day long. And hopefully, you know, I'll get that experience.
Making his 6th start here at Martinsville in his career, does not have a top 5, 2 top 10s, including a 10th place finish here back in March. Mike.
And Doc, coming into this race, the 07 team's hopes were pretty high. After all, this is the very car that Clint has won both his races, of course, New Hampshire and Richmond, so they were expecting to do pretty well here, but he's been tight most of the day. Last stop, they made a wedge adjustment, and it switched the balance completely in the other direction, gave him a little bit of wheel spin. He's been loose ever since.
I think these guys aren't too unhappy with where they're running right now, though.
Well, one thing that happens a lot of times, the guys are talking about their cars being loose off the corner. It's usually because it's tight at the beginning in the middle of the corner, and the guys try to turn it with the throttle, and before you know it, the rear tires are spinning. I don't know how many times I've been up here with drivers that tell me that, hey, I've got to get my car tighter. You got to tighten me up off the corner, and I actually loosened the car up and made it better.
You did tell your driver you're doing that, right?
Made it better. He didn't care.
Well, we asked you earlier in our AT&T Crew Chief Challenge, which chaser will get their first Martinsville Cup win today? Did you vote for Greg Biffle, Carl Edwards, Clint Boyer, or Kyle Busch? How do you think the votes went, guys?
Well, Edwards looks like he's got the best car today. Yep, it's Boyer.
Clint Boyer, so maybe they know something at 07. Remember, I mentioned at the top of the show that the last time we had qualifying rained out at this racetrack was the last time Richard Childress' car went to victory lane. And that was back in September of 1995. The driver then was Dale Earnhardt Sr. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Next Sunday, we go from the short track to the high-speed 1.5 mile Atlanta Motor Speedway as the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup race number 7. Comes your way at 1 Eastern time, Sunday on ABC. Driver leading with 10 to go has lost 2 of the last 3 Atlanta races. By the way, Jimmy Johnson has won 2 of the last 3 Atlanta races.
And there's been a lot of guys who win that thing off of turn 4 at Atlanta. That's one of the most notorious corners out there. A lot of momentum. Man, it's going to be an exciting race next week.
We start with NASCAR Countdown, 1 Eastern ABC from Atlanta next Sunday. Jimmy Johnson leads here as we come up on halfway. His teammate Jeff Gordon is behind him. Then it's McMurray, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr., the rest of the top 5. And it's interesting how the cream rises to the crop here. You've had 2 chasers have troubles today, Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth. Everybody else is running in the top 11.
What about Bill Elliott? Look at him right there. I mean, he almost went a lap down earlier, got it back. Now he's got that car handling really good, battling with Montoya there. Got the right rear corner tore up on it. It looks like he's in his rhythm right now.
That's Elliott and the Wood Brothers 21, and of course the Wood Brothers from Stewart, Virginia, just up the road from here.
Yeah, old Bill's giving the Wood Brothers another good ride today. He's doing a good job there. He's got that old race car down there, hunting around the bottom, de-wedging a little bit, getting after it.
And just in front of them, 28 car that had some troubles earlier today, Travis Quapple for the Yates Racing team. And he's recovered nicely from his early spin. He's up to 19.
Hey, I can't hardly believe how tough these new cars are. I mean, we see a lot of cars hit the wall. I mean, you saw Travis get in the wall hard, and it's still all together and still going. I mean, the older car would have been tore to smithereens. These new cars are really tough.
Travis has done a great job getting back in this race. And speaking of toughness, you saw that Elliott Sadler wreck just a second ago. He slammed that wall extremely hard and looked like the car was wholly unscathed.
Yeah, Brad, he said he come across the radio and said, this thing is tore to pieces.
Yeah.
It didn't look tore up to us.
Wow.
I mean, So must have been suspension part or something.
And Reed Sorensen, as we look a little deeper into the field. 41 car having a nice ride. He goes back home to race in the Atlanta area next Sunday.
Absolutely. Reed out of Peachtree City, Georgia over there. Young man's a good little racer. He's getting his act together. I'm looking for big things out of Reed going forward.
Now got 31 cars on the lead lap for the moment, as the leader has caught the end of the field, Doc.
He has. Jimmy Johnson moving inside of Chad McCumbee in the 45. And by the way, Chad will be in that 45 the remainder of the year, with the exception of Kyle Petty's run at Phoenix. Moving in on Ken Schrader is Jimmy.
So it takes a lot of patience, doesn't it, Dale, when you have a great car, you're catching all these guys. You see he's trying to put a lap on Ken Schrader right here. Jimmy Johnson is.
Yeah, you're wanting to go as hard as you can, but you see that whole line of cars up there that's going to race hard, and you know that you're going to have your hands full in trying to pick and choose your spots. And that's what you have to do, is find out. Jimmy knows where his car is best, but he's going to have to use that to his advantage in trying to put these guys a lap down.
That's the thing. He's got a lot to lose right here in this position, and these guys in front of him don't have a lot to lose. They're going to push and shove, do whatever it takes, and block to stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, that's Schrader right in front. He's the last car on the lead lap in the 30th spot. And here comes Jeff Gordon. It's going to allow him to close in. You know, it's always easier for the guy in second to get by these guys, because once you get a lap down, you kind of lose a little bit of that edge, and it makes it easier for him. We'll look back, and Jamie McMurray's not far behind Jeff Gordon.
When you're in this kind of traffic right here, and you're Jeff Gordon, you're catching Jimmy Johnson, you see he's struggling to lap cars. Are you going to give him a break, or are you going to try to just pass him and take advantage of him right here?
Yeah, most of the time you're going to give him a little bit of a break, and I would think with teammates you're going to do that, especially at this stage of the race. If they were another 120 or 30 laps in, it'd be a different story.
Carl Edwards trying to use the traffic here to be able to make the pass on McMurray for third spot, but he couldn't get around because the high side had Regan Smith there.
Both of these Roush cars were a tick faster than the two Hendrick cars up front just a few laps ago. Mike?
Well, Bob Osborne really coaching Carl, as we mentioned at the top of the show. Remember, Carl said he was a little bit intimidated the first few times he visited this racetrack. Had to learn how to drive it. Well, he still needs to be reminded on occasion, and Bob's just telling him, take it easy, take care of the car. We're still just as good as the leaders, but we got to get to the finish.
Up front, here goes Jeff Gordon back on the inside of Jimmy Johnson, and will retake the lead.
So much for that break you said he was going to give him, Dale.
Well, I'm not so sure that he's not going to let Jeff try to handle a little bit of that. You know, sometimes you just get in there and you're on your brakes hard, and you're actually wearing your car out a little bit more than you want to. He's thinking, all right, I'll let Jeff go up here and see what he can do with these guys.
Let him open the door, and Jimmy just follow him right through.
Yeah, let him wear his front bumper out trying to get by these guys.
I'm not sure that Jimmy's hadn't used up some brake right here, and he's just letting his brakes cool back down. I see a lot of brake dust on the front, his front wheels, so it'll be interesting to see if he's just laying back a little bit.
This is actually an opportunity to do that when you've got lap cars that are holding you up. I've always told my driver, okay, nobody's going anywhere. It's just a lot of lap traffic. Let's just cool it right here. Try to take care of the car for, 10, 15, 20 laps if possible.
These guys pitted on lap 165. We're working 244. And remember, the car that stayed on the racetrack was Greg Biffle. To be able to lead those 9 laps, he's going to have to come on the pit road here in just a handful of laps to get back. Get some tires on his car. Biffle now has slid back to 8th position. As you watch this battle, there is Biffle in the 16 car. We're hearing he'll be on pit road here momentarily.
Yeah, he's done a nice job staying out there. He just hasn't gotten the break that he needs, which is a caution around this point in time, so that he can pit with everyone. But his strategy's worked out to get them back into the top 10. But if he doesn't get a caution flag here soon, then it's all going to be for nothing.
See Ken Schrader racing Jeff Gordon extremely hard. He wants to stay on the lead lap.
You can see our top 4 now are bumper to bumper here. You see Biffle on the left side of your screen, but Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Jimmy McMurray.
One more time.
And here getting ready to call Greg Biffle in. And Carl Edwards, they're all our top 4 right there together. Still having a hard time lapping Ken Schrader.
This time, 2 tires, gas.
Came in on lap.
Gas.
Here he comes, finally slowing down, and this has got to seem like an eternity when you make that green flag stop.
You got to understand that all but you got a half-mile racetrack here, and all but about 1/8 of it is pit road, and you've got to go all the way around there at 30 miles per hour. Yeah, it just seems like you're losing so much time. The only thing worse is that if you speed, then you're going to cost yourself even more time. So you really have to be patient with that.
Jeff Gordon, leaders flashing by. They will put Biffle a lap down as he tries to get those right side tires. Dave.
And I guess the number that we should have focused on was 131. He was last on pit road on lap 116. Gets those 2 tires and a wedge adjustment, guys. And remember, this is only halfway through the race now, so there's still time to make this up, but this is tough luck.
Leaders now coming out of turn 2, while Biffle getting up to speed now, headed back into turn 3. It'll be halfway next time by. 250 down and 250 to go here. We are halfway home in the 2008 chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Final short track race of the season. Jeff Gordon is our leader. Trouble on the racetrack. The 43 cars looped around here. Bobby Labonte, and that will bring out caution for the 8th time of day here in the Tums QuikPak 500 at Martinsville Speedway. You saw the 70 on pit road a moment ago. Tony Raines had come in for another right front tire issue.
The same thing happened the last run with the 70. He blew that right front after overheating that bead. And Paul Menard had the same problem about the same time, almost like what we saw earlier.
Right here you can see that tire blow on Tony Raines' car. Gets up into the safer barrier. He was able to limp around and get there. See Paul Menard. Now this is the same lap just down in turns 1 and 2. There's the right front tire. Now neither of these brought the caution out here.
Then Bobby Labonte goes around, and that traps Greg Biffle.
But we see now why he went around. Because A.J. Allmendinger ran over him.
Yeah, this was the longest green flag stretch we've had today, guys. 54 laps. So we saw those right front tires having issues, and here's another angle of Bobby, the former winner here, coming off.
Yeah, you can see the left rear tire go down on the 43 when Allmendinger got into his left rear.
Now watch Jeff Gordon drop through this spin, and Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, they were coming up on this happening. You see Gordon get to the inside. Bobby Labonte spinning up to the outside, and there goes Jimmy Johnson by.
That's the risky part of being the leader when you're lapping these guys is they are fighting each other so that they're not the car that's going to get lapped.
Yeah.
And you see what happens.
Yeah, and I wasn't criticizing Allmendinger there. That's Martinsville racing, unfortunately. That's going to happen at times. We see the leaders hitting pit road.
Yeah, Gordon, Johnson, Edwards, McMurray, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, and Hamlin will come under this 8th caution flag.
Remember, this does trap Greg Biffle a lap down, so it was unfortunate for him. Jamie?
And your 7-time winner, Jeff Gordon, said he's just a little loose through the corner with no drive off. They're going to make a small wedge adjustment. They need that right rear to hook up so he can stay in the lead. That's Jeff Gordon. Shannon?
Jamie, Dale Jr. says the car's pretty good on the long runs. It's just a little free. You see that wrench go in the back window. They are going to make a chassis adjustment on this 88. 4 tires for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Mike.
Carl Edwards a little bit tight center, also looking for some more grip. Going to make an air pressure adjustment and a track bar adjustment. In front of him, your race leader, Jimmy Johnson. They'll make a wedge adjustment on the left side, also take 4 tires. He's away.
Race off of pit road. Jimmy Johnson, another great job on pit road with Chad Knaus and the boys, gaining a spot over teammate Gordon. Earnhardt Jr. up 1. Boyer up a spot there in the 10th position. By the way, the 38 car, David Gilliland, was got the free pass to get back on the lead lap. And we are being told the 12 car, Ryan Newman, will be penalized for too fast exiting the pits. He will go to the end of the longest line. Watch the 12 car speeding up a little bit to get around the 29 and 31. And contact there between. Wow. Harvick and Jeff Burton getting together, and the 12 trying to be the first car off, cost him a little bit of a speeding penalty. Back with a restart here in just a moment.
Martinsville Speedway just past halfway of today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race, where Jimmy Johnson is the leader, getting that lead on an exchange of pit stops. Jeff Gordon led to the pits a moment ago. Here's Gordon's radio.
Close, guys, almost. It's hard to beat that open stall 1. We've been there a bunch. Nice stop, guys.
Only a couple of really good pit stalls here at Martinsville, and one of them is the one Jimmy Johnson has.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson got that #1 pit stall. There is no doubt about it. That's a really good one. And there's the race off. and he beats Jeff Gordon by about a car length. But guys, remember one thing: Jeff Gordon's got an opening in front of him right now, so he's got a pretty good spot too.
Not as handicapped as he was before when Sam Hornish Jr. was pitting right in front of him.
That's exactly right.
So we've seen these two guys kind of rise to the top of the race here as these two teammates fight it out. Two teams will fight it out on Monday Night Football tomorrow night, though they don't play for the same employer. The Denver Broncos travel to New England. Jay Cutler and Brandon Marshall take on the New England Patriots and Randy Moss. It's Monday Night Football, ESPN at 8:30 Eastern. Coverage beginning at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown delivered by UPS.
They play football in New England, too?
They do.
Man.
They have a lot of good racing in New England, too, by the way. As we're one lap away from this restart. So far today, Jimmie Johnson has led the most laps, 126 of the 264. And the man really hurt by that caution flag, Greg Biffle, who finds himself in 28th place for this restart. He's the second car one lap down.
Wow, unbelievable. Look at Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards, 197 or 198 points behind, all in just one race. They were looking so good and have a problem.
And Jeff Burton not having a stellar race here today either.
Yeah, absolutely. We expect Jeff Burton to be up near the front battling for an opportunity to win this race. All of these guys are struggling, and Jimmie Johnson, Jeff Gordon are absolutely the class of the field.
So what to watch for on this restart? Can Greg Biffle get in front of Almirola and get in position for the free pass, Doc?
Still a long way to go here, guys. Let's check in with our in-race reporter, the 07 of Clint Boyer.
Clint, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yeah, I got you, bud.
Well, how's everything going for you so far?
Not bad. We're trying to get better up off the corner, getting beat to the gas pretty bad. But made an adjustment here. Hopefully Gil's get it ready to go here, get back after it.
All right, good luck. You don't have as far to go as what you've come so far, so good luck.
Thanks, son.
A lot of racing left here, guys. 234 laps, and we saw the point separation as Jimmie Johnson moving away a little bit, but we've seen a lot of things happen here in the final 100, much less 100 and final 25 laps.
Oh, yeah, we were looking at those points, but this race is far from over. Quite a few laps to go. Anything can happen.
Get about that lap 400 mark, then you see a lot of crazy things start happening around here.
As if it hasn't been crazy already.
Yeah.
Jimmie Johnson leads Jeff Gordon down. 15 car, Paul Menard on the inside. There's Almirola, the car that's one lap down. Remember, Biffle behind him, the 16. Needs to get around the 8 car to get that free pass for the next caution flag, and there will be a next caution flag. We are at Martinsville.
It will be. They see Biffle got a nice little run up off the corner there out of turn 4. But because of the being on the inside there and Junior on the outside, he can't make the pass that he's wanting to right yet. But he's going to try it right now. Going to make it 3 wide. Not sure this is going to work for somebody.
No,
work
baby.
for Biffle. Well, sometimes you got to take that chance. We see the 8 car get a little bit loose there up in front of Tony Stewart.
That's for position. McMurray going by Earnhardt Jr. for the 4th spot. David McMurray's got a very good race car, despite the fact that he was involved in a spin on lap 81. And by the way, that contact came from the 88 car.
Yeah, he's done a nice job. Look at all these guys racing hard back here. That's Ken Schrader, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin's in the middle of that. Martin Truex Jr.
Kyle Busch in the 18 car being shown 3 laps down. If he just joined our coverage, he was a lap down and had an issue with a melted right front bead. Stopped on the racetrack to bring out the caution flag, and NASCAR then held him 2 laps in the pits, a penalty for stopping on the track.
They don't like that. Yeah, Jeff Gordon going for the lead here. He had wrestled the lead away from Jimmie Johnson in traffic.
That was very aggressive.
Caution, but
very aggressive move down in the corner. You can see they were right on the limit of braking, getting in there.
These two guys, these teammates, have finished 1-2 in NASCAR Sprint Cup racing 8 times. Of those 8 times, Jeff Gordon has won 5 of them, and Jimmie Johnson has won 3. But the last time they finished 1-2 here, spring a year ago. Remember that finish bumping and rubbing and pushing and shoving? It was Jimmie Johnson that got the win that day.
This race is shaping up to end the same way with these teammates going at it.
Yeah, somebody else is going to have to step up and see if they can become a part of it. Looks like Jimmie Johnson might be just a little bit loose right now.
There's one car that's lurking back there in 3rd spot that might give these guys a run for their money. That 99 car has been fast all day, and now we see him in 3rd spot, basically with clear traffic.
Yeah, best run by Carl Edwards at this racetrack by far.
No other active driver has won as many times at Martinsville as Jeff Gordon has. He is a 7-time winner at this racetrack. And we asked him about the reason for his success at this place.
It took several hundred, maybe even 1,000 or more laps to really get a grip on Martinsville. But when we did, you know, we just went on a tear, and not necessarily all wins. We won a lot, but you know, even when we're not winning, we're fast, we're running good. We've got a lot of second-place finishes here as well.
He finished second here back in March, finished third here back last fall. Has swept both events here back in 2003 from the pole, and again in 2005 won both races at this racetrack.
I could have shortened that answer for him by quite a bit, just saying that talent and the willingness to change his driving style, because what he tried to do when he first came here, along with a lot of other drivers, wasn't working, and Jeff was willing to change that here whenever he was testing and saw a better way to get around here. Obviously worked awfully well for him. I don't know if that was shorter or not than what he said, but anyway, that's what it was.
6 and 31 car, Burton and Reagan, that's 15th and 16th. 12 car, Ryan Newman behind him. Good run for Ryan back in 17th spot, and Matt Kenseth now back on the lead lap in 18th position in the 17 car.
He was in an incident earlier with Joe Nemechek where they got together. You can see the car got a lot of damage where they fixed it, taped it up, but he's still hanging right in there. So is Juan Pablo Montoya. He's hanging right in there, and actually looks like he's going to get by Matt.
Big red, maybe just what they use to describe as brakes, but he's been having some brake issues, and they've certainly been glowing, but he's hanging on in the top 20.
Now, right behind those guys, see A.J. Allmendinger in the 10 car, and then Michael Waltrip in the 55 having a nice run also. Travis Quaffle there, after his earlier spin, is still on the lead lap also. So these guys are running 20th, 21st, 22nd. Battling for that. You see Michael able to take that spot away. Nice run for A.J. Allmendinger. He's really the only Gillette Evernham car that's still out there running. Casey King's had problems. Elliott Sadler is back on the racetrack after extensive repairs to his number 19 Dodge.
Mentioned Michael Waltrip having a pretty good run. How about the 44 car of David Rudeman, now being shown up in 12th position, trying to hold off the charge of Kevin Harvick. Dave.
And Doc, it's interesting how strategy works out. Remember how staying out on a certain round of pit stops hurt Greg Biffle? Well, on that same round of pit stops, most cars got 4 tires. David Rudeman, he took on 2 tires, and that worked out for him. That jumped them from somewhere in the 20s up into near the top 10. So it worked out for them. They had enough fuel to go that full run, and now they're just trying to keep that position for the rest of the day.
Rudeman trying to stay in front of the 29 car. A couple of anxious moments a moment ago for the 31 car. Jeff Burton dodging some traffic down in turns 1 and 2. Here's what happened to the 31. Watch him going in the corner.
I think he starts wheel hopping the car, or lock the rear wheels up, getting in the corner underneath Sam Hornish.
$284 laps are in the books. It has been the Jeff and Jimmy show at Martinsville Speedway. Jeff Gordon is our leader. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
If you want it, come and get it. I ain't here to brag or boast, but I bet you won't get it. Man, I come to take it home. I want it deep in my bones, and I don't ask how to live. When it all falls down, I'll be the last man standing. It's the hard knocks, it's the long shots, it's believing in yourself when you're all you got.
The long day's grind at Martinsville Speedway to be the last man standing at the end of 500 laps. Ongoing here. And a new leader as we come back live to Martinsville, Virginia. Jimmy Johnson just slipped around Jeff Gordon.
I tell you, Jeff Gordon just got around Jimmy Johnson, just like you said there, and that was a good move because he's just trying to get those points, trying to keep that car out front, keep that clean air. got to do what you got to do. We're over 2 hours into this race right now. Tempers are starting to flare. These guys need to cool down a little bit, get back in the game.
Yeah, let's talk to me about that for a second, Rusty. You're a 7-time winner here. You're grinding away in this car lap after lap after lap. You never really have 2 seconds to breathe here on one of these straightaways. What's it like to keep your focus and to keep yourself pushing as hard as you need to push to win one of these races?
It's a good point, Alan. It's hard to do that, but right now this race is starting to settle in a little bit. You know, where the tough part happens is on these restarts. When these guys are side by side, they're beating and banging. What they got to do now is get out front like Jimmie Johnson and start conserving those brakes. Save that car. And above all, you know, keep yourself cool. I think it's very, very important to do that right now.
So the harder discipline is to get yourself in position to slow down and ease off versus to keep yourself pushing hard.
You know what? Chad Canals told me earlier about Jimmie Johnson. He says that's the greatest asset to Jimmie Johnson is he understands that his brakes are going to get soft during the race, but he doesn't freak out. A lot of these guys freak out when their brakes start to go away. He doesn't do it. He backs it up, he cools his brakes down, and then he goes racing again. And that's what we saw him do just a little while ago with Jeff Gordon. Now he's back up on the wheel.
Jimmie Johnson has led the most laps today, and I think somebody mentioned earlier on the show, might have come from upstairs, guys. You get the most points by leading the most laps and winning the race. Was that you, Petrie?
Yeah, that was me, Alan.
All right. See, I listen.
That's good. Pay attention.
Oh, there goes Rudeman up across the racetrack. After all, he was having a great run in 12th position. He will lose 3, 4, 5 spots and now fall back in line. Or maybe not head to pit road. He's got an issue.
Front right, he's on pit road.
He could have a right front down because the car really went up the racetrack down.
Right side tires, right side tires.
You're calling for just right side tires. We get over to this right front.
Yeah, he's got a soft right front. We heard Ryan Pemberton calling him in the pits to change those tires.
Look at it, we got in the wall pretty hard here.
That's unfortunate, David. As we just documented, had a great run going.
Broke on the right front, Ryan.
Dave?
You guys, right now you're just seeing the work on the right front to try to figure out what had happened. Just ended up in the wall, and they'll change to right side tires, but they got to be careful that that right front suspension wasn't further damaged. You heard David's radio communication wondering about it.
Car just abruptly went up across the racetrack. Now we'll show you what happened. Watch this 44 car as he heads down into turn 1.
Yeah, that could have been that's probably why the right front went down. And now he's got a problem with the with right front after making that contact. And now he's just trying to get out of the way, and these other cars are coming by.
And moments ago, the 88 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets by McMurray, who had been one of the quickest cars on the racetrack. In fact, 5 of the last 8 laps, McMurray had been faster than the leaders. Now Earnhardt goes by and takes the 4th spot away.
Well, we've got a car in the wall up in turn 4, turn 3.
Martin Truex up scraping the wall. No yellow will stay green. There he comes. You see the scrapes on the side of the wall. He rubbed the wall between turns 3 and 4.
Like he could have locked the rear wheels up getting in that corner.
Yeah, I think he just got in there a little bit too hard, a little bit high. Yeah, you could see he got in there too hard, and he was high entering the corner. I believe he kept it out of the wall.
Did a good job. Great job of saving that car.
Martin's had a really good run going all day. He's been in the top 10 the majority of the day.
And look at the wheel marks on the right side of that car.
It'll look worse for the days over.
Yeah, he is still in the top 10. He's still running ninth, so he recovered and he's okay.
Jimmie Johnson has led over 500 laps in the 6 chase races thus far this season. He's already led more laps this year than he's led in his entire career in a single season. What a year he's had.
Hey, Andy, I'm sitting down here watching this deal happen, and, you know, all these guys are locking up these rear brakes. I want to get your opinion. You know, the opening in front of these grills for the brakes are so much smaller than the old car that we used to run. I just really think that probably there's not enough opening to cool it. We see this problem on the road courses, everybody wheel hopping. We see the problem here in Martinsville now, wheel hopping. Could there be something to that?
Yeah, Rusty, it could be. I mean, that's one of the challenges of this new car, are the limitations as far as brake ducts and all that stuff, because this front end doesn't have the overhang that the old car had. So you don't have as much room for all the brake ducts. And those openings are a little bit smaller. But the other thing about this car, Rusty, is that it seems like it likes a lot of rear brake, and a lot of guys put as much as they can stand back there, and then when those brakes in the front overheat slightly, then the rear brakes kind of take over, and that's when the rear wheels start hopping and sliding.
Yeah, this car is doing a bunch of crazy things, you know, compared to what we used to. There's no doubt about that. But with no cooling to the fronts, we all know we'll start losing the front efficiency of the braking and stopping power. When that happens, everything goes to the back, and then the rear wheels lock up and start jumping around. I would think that maybe NASCAR ought to think about opening these front brakes up a little more. Let these guys cool these brakes some more.
Yeah, you know what they'd do then, Rusty? Then they would start using them more.
Yeah. Okay, so you fix one problem, now you get another, right?
Yeah, you guys figure out a way to take advantage of all those little advances we make. If we can cool the brakes better, you just figure out a way to get them hotter.
NASCAR has told the teams, by the way, that they will not make any major rule changes for 2009 with this new car. The rules will remain the same. They'll be able to adjust them and keep building newer generation cars, but they wanted to give the team some notice so they can start building cars for next year.
Yeah, and I think Andy's got a good point that they're using a lot more rear brake with this car to try to help the car turn in the center of the corner. You can see Carl Edwards has taken advantage of the traffic along with Dale Jr. here. We've got the front four, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards, and Dale Jr. all right together. Jimmy's kind of taking his time getting through this traffic, not creating any problems, which is exactly what he should do with the position he's in, leading the race and the points. But it's allowed these guys to close in on him a little bit.
How good has Hendrick Motorsports been at this track over the years? And we mentioned it's been the Jeff and Jimmy shows. Combined, they have led 9 times for 212 laps today.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by The Home Depot, NASCAR's home improvement warehouse. Enterprise Rent-A-Car, we'll pick you up. And Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff.
$182 laps to go today in Martinsville, Virginia, and in-lap traffic. The leaders have all bunched together as one car's in trouble. That is Kurt Busch, another right front down.
Yeah, got the brakes hot again, blew that right front tire out. Did hit the wall this time, kept it off there.
No caution flag. We stay under green. And Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. all knotted up together as they try and pick their way through the back end of the field and try and pass cars that are on the lead lap. Why is that important? Because that no longer leaves Greg Biffle as the guy in position to get the free pass.
Yeah, it puts Greg in a tough spot. It's really making his day get a lot longer. He has lost significant points, so he's going to have a little bit of luck going forward in the next 100 laps to gain some positions back here. But right now, it doesn't look good for him.
All right, so now that they've gone through some of the initial traffic, things settle down just a bit. Jimmy Johnson is leading, started on the pole today, has led the most laps. He and Jeff Gordon have been pretty much the class of the field. They have led the most laps, the two drivers at the top of the stack. Some of the chasers have had some troubles today. Kyle Busch, a flat tire and a penalty. He's 3 laps down. Greg Biffle pitted under green because his crew tried a little strategy that didn't work out. He's a lap down. Other than that, all the other chasers are running 17th or better in the running order. Let's get you up to speed on how some of these front runners are faring and what they're thinking as we get into the later stages. Mike, you've got the leader.
Yeah, Alan, as good as Jimmy Johnson looks right now, this is not the best run he's had all day. He said it took a little while for the air pressures to build up. The car was not as fluid through the turns as it had been earlier in the day. Started off tight, but as he has continued to run laps, the car has loosened up and is getting better, Jamie.
And Jeff Gordon behind him. Rusty was talking about what makes drivers really good here. Well, Jeff Gordon said at the beginning of the show, I get in a zone here. I get in a rhythm that they'll talk to me on the radio, and I don't even hear him. You could tell he's been in that zone, hunting down that 48 as they swap for the lead. Mike?
After the 99's problems a week ago at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Bob Osborne, the crew chief for Carl Edwards, told me the attitude is a little bit different now. We're no longer in protect mode. We need to be aggressive. We need to take some risks and go for the win. They've gotten aggressive with the setup here. They feel like they've got a pretty good race car, just trying to tell Carl to take care of it. Back on lap 254, the 99 was the fastest car on the track, Shannon.
Dale Jr. currently running 4th. He keeps looking to the outside of that 99, wanting to join that Hendrick party in the top 3. This car has not been perfect for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He has been having some brake problems. He says that they come and they go, but most likely they go. He's still looking for his first win here at Martinsville, but he has been very strong at this track.
Up front, the 99 car of Edwards. You heard about how strong the car was getting, and he tries to move to the inside of the 24 car.
Looks like Gordon's struggling just a little bit, Dale.
Yeah, he's been, saw him sideways off the corners the last few laps, and so he'd fallen back. He'd got to Jimmy Johnson's bumper in this traffic, and then he's fallen back quite a bit, so it's like he's struggling.
Remember, we saw between lap 45 and 55 that some of these guys started having right front tire issues. We've now run 60 green flag laps, and probably some concern over what's going to happen with that heat in the right front tire.
Yeah, concern there is they're 3 wide is a concern, but yeah, I'm sure there is, Andy. This is getting about that point we've seen a lot of problems.
Well, let's pick up our up to speed here, going down with Denny Hamlin and Dave Burns.
And that is the 6th position, Doc. They did not bring the same car that they won with here in the spring. Mike Ford told me that was the worst car of the 3 times they'd run here together. But they did bring the same driver attitude. He said driver always gets up a little bit more when he's here, a little more extra confident, and that's been his mood all day. Jamie?
And Brian Vickers' crew chief, Kevin Hamlin, I talked to him this morning. He said, up until yesterday, our short track program was our weakness. He said, we tried so many different things here. We have nothing to lose. We hit on something. Brian Vickers relaying that in the radio saying, I am really happy with the way this car is handling. Last pit stop, no changes, just tires. Dave?
Tony Stewart needs a couple things to happen. One of them he can't fix. That's his brakes. Greg Zipadelli radioed him. I think we chose the wrong brake package. Tony kind of agreed, but knew he had to deal with it. He can get a little more forward bite off the corner. They'll adjust for that next time. Jamie?
And behind him, Martin Truex Jr. just it was about 15 laps ago, saved that car from the wall. I don't know how he did it, and it's a good thing because he said this is the best car they've ever had here. Again, this is a track Martin Truex did not like. He called this and Charlotte his Achilles heel. Right now running well in the top 10. And right behind him, Casey Mears having another great run. You can't overlook this guy. He finished 7th here in the spring. In all 11 races here, he has been running at the finish. His car is pretty solid. He's worked his way all the way up into the top 10. He started 23rd. Behind him, David Reagan. Now, he had to drop to the back of the field because he spun yesterday. He wheel hopped it, had to go to a backup car. They did change that motor, which forced them to go to the back of the field. Now, I talked to his crew chief, and he told me, Jimmy Fennig, that this kid has come so far. He learns a lot, and he never makes the same mistake twice, and it's showing here today. Mike?
Jamie, in preparation for the chase, crew chief Gil Martin laid out all the cars he wanted to use in the chase. The car Clint Bowyer's driving today was designated for Phoenix. They were not planning to use it before then. But now that they've slipped 185 points back with 5 races to go, Martin said he feels like their back is against the wall. They had no choice. This is their best flat track car, and they brought it out. Right now, just a little bit tight. Shannon?
Mike, right behind Clint Bowyer's teammate Kevin Harvick. They've been dealing with loose conditions all race. On that last pit stop, they came down and actually unhooked the rear sway bar, cost them 6 positions on pit road. Right now, Kevin Harvick says, this dirty air is killing me. On the next pit stop, we cannot lose track position. Jamie.
Braden Sorensen right now sitting 14th, started 29th. He's having a solid running, been in the top 15 most of the race. He's finished 15th or worse the last 14 races. This team is desperate to get a good finish. Remember, he's moving on to Gillette Evernham. He only has 5 races remaining with this team. Shannon?
Jamie, Jeff Burton off his win last week at Charlotte. They cannot figure out why this car just keeps getting looser and looser. Really struggling with the handling of this 31 car. They've made adjustments on pit road, but definitely not where this 31 team wants to be on the track right now. Doc?
Yeah, Shannon, a 31 car. He has had a couple of great saves just hanging on. There's the 17 car. He was recovered from a lap down. Matt Kenseth's involved in a shunt and some contact with the wall down in 16th position. And 5 laps ago, the 12 car, Ryan Newman, remember he had run 73 laps as we had on these tires and an issue with the right front.
It's that heat, that brake system is melting those beads. We saw his teammate Kurt Busch have a problem about 5 or 6 laps before this. And then Ryan Newman had it. And then you see the leader. Look here, Jimmy Johnson comes up on Ryan Newman and has to have evasive action there.
McMurray going by Jeff Gordon for position. That's 4th spot.
Yeah, Ryan Newman's now, we just update you there, he is 2 laps down now after having to make a green flag pit stop. Back in the 32nd position after running in the top 15 most of the day.
159 laps to go here at Martinsville Speedway. Jimmy Johnson has led 6 times for 183 laps. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
Walked in line.
the line.
Back at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia, there's the leader, Jimmie Johnson, and he's trying to be able to go around Bill Elliott, the 19th place car, to put him a lap down. They have had some issues there and some contact.
They made contact with that right front. Jimmie Johnson did in the left rear, Bill Elliott. See that damage on the fender? That's the only thing you'd be worried about now is rubbing that tire and cutting it down. See, it looked like Bill Elliott turned down just a little bit on Jimmie while Jimmie was, looked like he had position right here.
Yeah, I don't think Bill Elliott really knew that he was there maybe at that point in time. Kind of happened quickly.
Got another right front down, guys. It's the 18 car. He got to pit road. He's not going to stop and bring the caution out this time. They penalized him a couple laps for stopping on the track earlier.
He's already 4 laps down in 33rd position.
Right front. It's the exact same thing happened the last time. He blew that right front there with that melted bead.
These guys have now run 90 laps of green flag racing, or almost 90 laps of green flag racing here since their last pit stop.
The first time we saw the 18 car blow that tire, 2 other cars did it at the same time. Sam Hornish was one of those cars, and he has already been down pit road with another tire problem under green.
Doesn't look like it. Paint's gone. I don't see any smoke or anything anywhere.
DJ, what's the mindset here if you're a driver? You know you can make it to maybe 370 to 380 on fuel, but knowing everybody's having some issues with that right front, are you mentally thinking about those brakes and trying to lay off as much as you can?
Well, anytime in a long green flag run, you have to do that, and hopefully your car is good enough that it'll allow you to stay off of those brakes. But these cars, as we've said a number of times, they require more usage of the brakes, not only here but everywhere. And when you come here, it just magnifies that problem. Rusty?
Guys, I tell you right now, the only thing that Jimmie Johnson and the rest of his field can do is be mindful of the heat in the front of these brakes. It's heat that we've been seeing that's blowing these right front tires out right now. So if I was out there right now, I'd be thinking, hey, back the corners up, take care of these brakes, do anything I possibly can. Do anything I possibly can to cool these things off. Andy, I got to tell you, this brake and new car combo, it feels like we went back in time 20 years for some reason here.
Well, we kind of have, Rusty, with this car because it's a lot heavier and it's got a lot more rollover in the corners. It takes a lot more. You have to slow the car down more to make the corner because of that. And so you have to use more brakes. And you know, one thing that happens, the better cars running up front, you haven't seen have a problem with the brakes because to run fast here, you can't really lay on the brakes hard. You have to back the corners up, back off just a little bit early. And that's the way you run good at Martinsville.
Andy, as a crew chief now, do you consider when your window opens for fuel, do you consider maybe bringing some of these guys in and pitting and go ahead and get some fresh tires?
Well, yeah, you would think that, but here's the problem with it. If you come down pit road, somebody else is going to have a melted bead, bring the caution out, and it's a real dangerous situation at this point to try to do that.
And they're also in a situation now, Andy, you talked about when they were looking to come, probably 375, 380. From that point, they could make it if we happen to stay under green for the rest of the time. So they don't want to get in here any sooner than they have to, right?
Well, yeah, you don't want to be the guy that pits first, because if you do that, you're very vulnerable to one of these other cars having a tire problem and bringing that caution out. Now, once everybody starts pitting, then you want to get your car on pit road.
6 car, David Reagan, having a very good run marching. Now he is all the way up into the top 10, and behind him, Martin Truex Jr., one of the sleepers. He was Dale Jarrett's sleeper. Talking about Truex having another good run here.
See, Dale Jr., he's working this 99 car hard in this traffic.
I've been watching Junior's car. He looks like his car is turning pretty good. We see a lot of brake dust on all of the front wheels of these cars, and especially these guys up front. But he looks like his car is handling pretty well, and he's able to turn the center and let it roll. So that's why you're not seeing these guys, Carl Edwards and Dale Jr., having the issues that some of these others are.
I tell you what, guys, in this next pit stop, the strategy could be that Jeff Burton, I've been watching Burton because he's been the second place contender in the points. I'm thinking points right now. He's got himself too far back. He's 15th. He's been mired back there forever. Man, I got to believe I'd take a shot at 2 tires, get this cat back up front, get him back in a points game, because right now he's getting beat up black and blue back there.
Well, the only problem is if they pit under green, it's going to take it about 14 seconds to get enough fuel in the car to make it to the end. So they would have to almost take 4 tires in that situation.
And the other side of it is, and I've said this before, is
putting 2 tires on a not so good handling race car is a mistake in itself too. So I think they're going to have to go with 4 and just take their whipping, whatever they're going to get here today.
Well, Dale, I completely agree with you. If you got a bad handling car, then put 2 could really get you in trouble, but maybe you get yourself in more trouble by getting marred back. I don't know, but you got a great point there.
Tony Stewart up across the racetrack in turn 2.
We're ready, we're ready.
Right front tires down. Now you see why I wouldn't want to have my car wouldn't want to pit about 2 laps ago, because a lot of these guys are having problems at this point.
Yeah, it almost caused a caution. He was up out of turn 2. The 22 ran into the back of him actually and did a great job, Dave Blaney, of not creating a caution flag there.
Tony was running in 8th position now. It comes down. We stay green on the racetrack. Dave Byrne.
And Tony Stewart had been battling a braking problem. In fact, Greg Zipadelli warned his driver about a halfway point. He said, we can see from the tire temperatures that the tires that came off the car that you're going to have to back off those things a little bit. And we know that that brake heat is what makes these tire beads melt. The right front definitely down. They will change right side tires and get it back on the lap, back on the track, having lost lap. They'll change all 4 actually at this point, guys. And they won't be able to go to the end of the race from here without a lot of caution help.
This happens in a hurry at this racetrack now. Riding along with Tony Stewart. Watch how quickly just suddenly with no warning.
Everything's fine at this point. You see he's kind of rolling center of the corner. Whoops. And there was a car right there too. And
coming up top here.
Real lucky not to have a problem.
We just blew right front.
Leaders should be coming on pit road when we come back to Martinsville in just a moment. Next week, we begin the Final 4 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup chase. For the Sprint Cup, Atlanta Motor Speedway. Coverage begins at 1 o'clock Eastern on ABC. 5 Atlanta races have been settled by last lap passes. Who will be the last man standing in Atlanta 1 week from today? Coverage begins with NASCAR Countdown. Alan Bestrick, Brad Daugherty, and Rusty Wallace. Leader is Jimmy Johnson, but back for second and third, guys, starting to tighten up a little bit as we move closer and closer to what should be that final pit stop of the day.
It's 88-99 have been going at it for a while now. Looks like they have been dealing with these lap cars. Montoya is the last one here that they're lapping. There's a lot of traffic they're having to deal with.
Is everybody popping seals? So is your seat coming?
I wouldn't say it was seals, because I think it's only 2 companies that are blowing them out. So I'd say it's probably Cramper related plus heat. So I don't think we got anything to worry about.
All right, so it ain't the bead.
Oh, it's just, I think it's just wearing them out on the inside.
Actually are the beads that are melting on these tires. I guess we have a little advantage over some of the crews that we can see. We have cameras to shoot these cars when they come in, and can see the tires and the beads that have been melting.
Yeah, I think that they're just wanting letting Dale Jr. know basically that you know, his tires have looked okay in temperatures and everything. But when you look just behind Dale Jr. right here, as he's on the bumper of Carl Edwards, the 83 car. Brian Vickers has moved himself up into the 4th spot now. We haven't talked about him all day.
He's been kind of just sneaking his way up through there, very methodically. This long run has been great for this car.
Yeah. Yeah, what the times I've been watching him in the last few laps, his car really looks like it's getting a better bite than a lot of other guys up out of the corner. You see a change of position here. Denny Hamlin's taking over the 6th spot from Jeff Gordon. Gordon's still struggling on this run. And you mentioned that they've been trying to tighten that car up, and it may be hurting Jeff Gordon here in this longer run.
That's the problem with these short track races is it's kind of hard to tell what's really starting the problem. He keeps saying that he's losing grip in the rear and getting loose, and so they start tightening the car up. But if you try to tighten that car up too much, you can actually make the car where it pushes through the middle, and he's using the throttle to turn it and actually make the car worse. And it looks like that's what's happening with the 24 car, because they have tightened it up and actually made it worse. Dave?
Right in front of him, Denny Hamlin taking that position away. Andy, think of the position he's in. Both of his teammates have had trouble with right front tires. He asked his crew, have you seen the brake temperatures look bad on my car? And they said, no, your color of your brake rotors looks good. That tells him to hit the go button, but at the same time, as we see Vickers battling with Junior, it tells him I've got to be careful because I know what's happened to my teammates. That's a hard position to be in.
They have great battle up here, second, third, and fourth. Ford, Toyota, and Chevrolet. And now Vickers, as you heard Dale Jarrett say, has taken the spot. The 2-car, Kurt Busch up against the wall. And
that's about the third right front.
We will stay green at Martinsville.
Well, Kurt couldn't make the pit road entrance. He's got to make a full lap around the racetrack with his right front down.
And you can hear him. He's pretty frustrated with that on his radio, too. He's wanting to know if he could park it now. This is a minimum of the third time that this has happened for this team.
My answer would be no, you can't park it. We're going to run it till it won't run.
Yeah, and he knows that. He's just frustrated at the time.
Since the last pit stop, we've had 6 cars have issues.
Caution is out now for Kurt Busch. He just couldn't get to pit road.
That will be the 9th caution flag of the day because of the debris, as Andy mentioned, off of the 2-car. He does now finally able to limp his car down to the pits. And the leaders will be able to make what could be their final pit stop here under the yellow flag.
4 tires of gas here. Take that sway bar gate, guys. Make sure it's hooked up.
A.J. Allmendinger is going to be the car to get the free pass here. A.J.'s had a great day in this 10 car. He's in the 16th spot, but had just gotten lapped by Jimmy Johnson.
Bad break for Tony Stewart because he was one of the cars that blew right front, had to make a green flag stop. He's trapped the lap down.
And this caution can't come soon enough for Jeff Gordon, who had been backsliding, just struggling with the race car, or the 31 car, Jeff Burton, who'd been battling a loose, very loose car.
Looks like A.J. Allmendinger will be the car that gets the free pass here.
And the good thing for Burton, even though he was struggling, he managed to stay on the lead lap. He really fought that car, and he's up in the 13th spot now, so he can make something decent out of what could have been a really bad day for him points-wise.
Less than 120 laps to go here in the Tums QuikPak 500 at Martinsville.
How about Casey Mears in this 5-car? He's run a good race so far. He's sitting right here in 8th spot.
We mentioned he finished 7th here back in the spring. All 4 Hendrick cars finished in the top 7 back in March.
Yeah, they got all 4 of them in the top 8 right now, so they're all going to hit pit road. Pretty important as to who can get out first here. It means a lot to have. It's not the clean air, it's just to have that racetrack and where you don't have to deal with traffic.
And who doesn't speed? We've seen at least 6 speeding penalties thus far today. 30 miles an hour.
Careful, yeah, really careful in those turns where you come out of that and shorten up. Jamie?
Brian Vickers, guys, he keeps moving to the front. They said it's not broken. We're not going to fix it. 4 tires for the 83. Janet?
Dale Jr., this 88 team looking for the money stop, said it was a little bit loose, but don't mess with it, he told his crew chief. He does not want to be tight on the restart. Mike?
Carl Edwards has never recorded a top 5 finish here in Martinsville, but he's real happy with his race car right now. No adjustments. Ahead of him, race leader Jimmy Johnson. They're going to make a small track bar adjustment. Remember, he was real tight at the beginning of the last run. They don't want that to happen again. Johnson away ahead of Edwards.
Look at this scramble behind him there. Earnhardt Jr. trying to get off, and he will get like Vickers and McMurray. It'll be McMurray, then Vickers, then Hamlin, Jeff Gordon. It'll be 115 laps to go here under caution for the 9th time. Back after this message and a word from our ABC station. 114 laps remaining in what has been a slugfest here on and off the racetrack. Now watch the near miss a moment ago as Jimmy Johnson leaves and Carl Edwards tries to get in. Now watch what happens with Jimmy's jackman.
Well, see all the brake dust, both the tire carrier, now the jackman slips in this brake dust. That's a tremendous amount of dust off of these brake pads off Jimmy Johnson's car.
He got up and got his job done, and they still beat these guys out. But a little excitement here.
Whoa, whoa.
The guy cleaning the grill almost became a hood ornament for Carl Edwards. Let's listen to the 2-car here. Kurt Busch, who's had a struggling day.
Walt, are you still here? Yeah, I'm here, Kurt. Can I park it, please? No, sir. Control yourself and let's finish the race. 10-4, if I get hurt, thanks. Appreciate it.
Oh, my goodness, boys. I don't know about that. I think if he's going to collect that check today, he's got to stay in that seat. Keep getting after it.
That's right. We don't quit, do we, Brad?
You can't quit, baby. Now it's time to go get it.
Yeah, every day's not fun in the car, but you gotta suck it up and do the job. That's what you get paid to do. But we got the green flag here, and Jimmy Johnson back out front. Carl Edwards in hot pursuit.
Carl Edwards is having his career day at Martinsville today.
Remember, this is one of only 2 tracks on the circuit where he has never led a single lap, and he has yet to lead today.
He's working hard on it, though.
He's trying to do that, but the best thing is he's just having a good, solid run here, and it'll be something for him to build on from this point forward.
The only thing I see about this 48, he's been strong and looks like unbeatable all day, but that's a lot of brake dust we saw coming off that car when they changed those tires.
It is a lot.
Makes you wonder how hard he's using his brake.
Yeah. Jimmy's been awful good in being able to manage that here over the last 3 or 4 years. It's a fine line of balance that you have to do is how hard you want to drive it and can drive it and get the most out of it without abusing it.
I think that's one of the things that makes Jimmy so good. He does get everything out of the car without stepping over that line. So I'm sure he's got a good feel for what he's got and how much he can abuse the brakes.
We had Jimmy in our pit studio in our practice show yesterday and asked him why he was so good at this place. He said, you know, growing up as an off-road racer in dirt, you had to be so technically sound. And he said when he came here, he had to hit his mark so precisely, it helped him to be a better driver at Martinsville.
You do have to be disciplined to be good here at Martinsville.
It takes a lot of that, and he's, again, having good race cars, that makes your job a lot easier too. But see these first 3 guys, they're pretty close here. But Jamie McMurray, what a great day this guy's having. You know, he got spun early in the race, a little contact from the 88 car, but he's rebounded from that. They played a little pit strategy, and it's worked out really, really good for him. Solid run in the top 5. Jamie?
Yeah, and he said that he's been fighting loose all day, but the only adjustments they've made is with air pressure, and that's exactly what they did on the last pit stop. Air pressure and 4 tires. And I talked to Larry Carter, his crew chief, earlier today. He said, we're not surprised how well we've been running lately. I know a lot of people have been like, wow, where'd Jamie McMurray come from? And he said, we just have had a lot of crashes, unfortunate circumstances, and we haven't finished. So they're making the most of it. It's going to be 5 more races for the 2 of these guys together, as he'll have a new crew chief in 2009. Doc?
Coming off that 5th place finish last week at Charlotte. Here's the 88, just looking to get around the 99. That would be for 2nd position.
One thing I like what I'm seeing out of this 88 car today is he's peaking at the right time. It's just the end of the race. Got just over 100 laps to go, and this looks like the best that we've seen this 88 car run all day.
Yeah, he looks better than the 99 right now. It's just difficult. Carl's making that car of his awfully wide, and is taking away where Junior's car is really fast. But you're right, Andy. This is great to see them running this well with about 100 laps to go.
He's overcome a penalty early in the race when he had to go to the rear of the field, actually to 41st position for speeding on pit road.
You mentioned back in March, he led the most laps in this race. 146 and then faded late. And the 26 car off the pace.
Hey,
Jamie?
Yeah, Doc, Jamie McMurray just said, something broke, guys. I think it may be an axle. I'll meet you in the garage.
Oh.
Very disappointing end, guys. Maybe they can get back out and salvage some points.
That's too bad right there. That's one thing about this track, though. It's very, very hard on equipment. And those rear gears especially, it's hard on because they run like a 650 gear. That means that the drive shaft and the engine turn 6.5 times for every revolution of the tire, and it just puts a lot of load on the suspension and drive line.
He was running in 4th position, which would have been his best finish of the year, coming off the heels of that top 5 at Charlotte last Saturday night.
Man, we talked about him and his team in a lot of races here recently, but they just don't have the finishes. But they are running well, and that's good to know that they are doing that, but just can't seem to have any luck.
Here's a guy that has it all. Jimmie Johnson has led 6 times for 242 laps. And now Jeff Gordon getting a little racy, trying to move his way back toward the front. There's the 11 of Hamlin, 83 of Vickers.
Yeah, Vickers lost a couple of spots on on pit road during that last caution, but it seems that his car is the best on the longer run. So he may just be settling in and see if we're going to be able to run to the end. If we are, then his car will be good again. Dave?
And remember, the 11 car has to be conscious of his brakes, but in talking to his crew chief this morning, he said, you know what? This weekend is shaping up a lot like the last couple here. The 48, the 24, and us. Mike Ford believed that by the end of the day, Denny Hamlin would be battling near the front again as he tries to pressure Gordon.
I think you might be right. It'd be interesting to see. If you saw our practice show yesterday, we had an in-car of Denny Hamlin. Man, he was really smooth in there. He didn't use a lot of brake, let the car roll, and wasn't having to fight the steering wheel. So that's exactly what you need in these last 100 laps to move forward.
Looked like he was driving in a mall parking lot, just easily turning the steering wheel. These guys don't have it easy. They've been having a little contact, a little bumper tag here. Edwards and Dale Earnhardt Jr., neither one of which have led a lap today.
It looks like Junior's car is really faster right through the center of the corner, and Carl's car might be a little bit tighter in that point, but he's able to hold Junior up, and then Carl gets a really good run off the corner, but he's really slowing Junior's momentum down, and it's hard for him to make that pass.
96 laps to go in Martinsville. This is the most laps Jimmie Johnson has ever led in a Martinsville race. 245 at the front of the field here today. Action all around the racetrack here in the final 90 laps. Left top of your screen, Jimmie Johnson, the leader. Right top is the battle for second place heating up, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. losing some patience now, trying to get on the inside of Carl Edwards. And on the bottom, Jamie McMurray, who's had such a good run all day, was running in 4th spot. Head of the garage area to get some work done on the axle there in the rear end of his car.
Yeah, this right here, that's the rear gear assembly that they're going to change. The one that's in there broke, and so they're going to change that whole assembly.
Yeah, Junior just dogging Carl Edwards. You can see he rolls through the center really good, but he's a little bit free up off and can't make that run. I'm not sure how much more patience he's going to show right here.
Yeah, how many more laps do you try this before you finally just say, okay, I'm just going to move you?
How patient would his dad have been here?
Oh, not very. Shannon?
Well, I read a quote earlier this week. Tony Eury Jr. said that Dale Earnhardt Jr., as he goes on the inside trying to get around Carl Edwards in that 99, guys, he is not giving up on this battle. Junior trying to make it on the low side. Nose. It looks like Junior is going to take that place from Carl Edwards right now. But back to what I was saying, I was talking to Tony Jr. He said Dale Earnhardt Jr. doesn't use a lot of brakes here at Martinsville, and I found that kind of odd. But he said what he does, Dale Earnhardt Jr., he said he lifts earlier getting into the turns, which, as you guys were commenting on, allows him to really roll through the center, saving his brakes for the race, and allows him to get a little more aggressive if he needs to towards the end of the race.
That has like another effect too. When you're easy on the brakes, it doesn't overheat the tires, and we've seen the tires blow out, but also it keeps that buildup from building up in the right front, making the car get tighter as you run, and causing more problems with the handling of the car.
I tell you, I see Jeff Burton making a nice run back. He's moved himself back up into the 11th spot right now, trying to work into the top 10 behind Martin Truex here. You see his teammate, the 29 car, Kevin Harvick, just up in front of there. So nice rebound here. Jeff, even though he was struggling that last run, was able to stay on the lead lap, and now it's making up a few more spots.
I think he checked his watch. He says, okay, it's 85 laps to go. I got to go.
Jimmie Johnson, the leader, now working in some pretty significant traffic. There's Kurt Busch, who's had all kinds of issues today up across the racetrack 4 times. And now Jimmie trying to thread his way through traffic. It'll be less than 80 laps to go when we come back in a moment. Less than 80 laps to go. Jimmie Johnson is the leader, but don't look now because the 88 car is coming in a hurry. Jimmie Johnson in heavy traffic. We mentioned he was trying to get to lap some of these cars, and even though he's doing a great job of working this traffic very well, the 88 car now moving in on him.
I think Shannon Spake brought up a good point with the 88 car. By him not using the brakes as much as some of these other guys, I think his car really is coming to life here at the end of the race.
And I think that's a lesson he learned from his dad, who got the lesson from Jimmy Hensley, who took Dale Earnhardt's car and sat on the pole here in 1989. And Earnhardt had a talk with him about that, how he did that.
Right here, they just cross the start-finish line. You hear it get out of the throttle. Let the car roll in the corner. Don't use a lot of brake. Let the car roll through the center.
Didn't even get to 9,000 RPMs there.
He can see Jimmie Johnson up ahead of him now. He's about 4 cars ahead.
And you can almost hear the rhythm as he gets in and out of the throttle. That's what Rusty was talking about. Rusty Wallace won here 7 times, rolled out of that throttle so early when he won those races.
If anybody knows about rhythm at Martinsville, it's Rusty Wallace.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what he's talking about. Perfect example of what Rusty was talking about there. You just get out. You just don't want to overdrive the race car. Let the chassis work, and then you can make your time up on the exit of the corner, through the center and the exit of the corner. Exactly what Junior's doing here. And he's obviously not the only one. Whatever Jimmie Johnson does works pretty well too. But I think Jimmie Johnson's style is a little bit more of using the brake, and then they make their car turn through the center in a different way. But this works extremely well for Dale Jr., and he's got himself in a position to possibly capitalize on this and get a victory today. He might get to that 48, but he's going to have his work cut out whenever he does get there. We've seen that happen in the past. Guys run Jimmie Johnson down at this place, but not be able to get by him.
And he can't be as patient as he was with the 99, but he's also got to be mindful that's his teammate who's trying to win a championship, as is he.
I don't think any of these guys will do anything intentional to take somebody out of contention of the championship, but Junior wants to win. He'll do what it takes to win.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning too that, you know, as we get through this chase and everything, the top 5 guys here right now at this racetrack, when we talk about how difficult it is, but the top 5 are all in the chase, and that just shows the quality of these drivers and teams.
Johnson, the leader, Earnhardt Jr., Edwards, Jeff Gordon, and Denny Hamlin. That is the top 5.
We've made our last pit stop that these guys need to make for fuel, but I'm still kind of worried about these right front tires. I've seen a lot of them go down after 60, 70, 80 laps where they melt that bead in right front, and we may not have seen the last of those.
I just wonder, Andy, you know, late in the race when these guys pit again, if they do pit, you know, would you just do right side tires? Because we're only having a problem with the right front and the right side tires. The left sides seem even no problem. I believe. I mean, what do you think? I believe I'd have to go for the track position a little bit here.
I think I would too, Rusty, and that's where it really is a gutsy call on pit road, because you don't want to do that, but you have to do whatever it takes to keep that position. And I think if the caution comes out these next 67 laps, that guys down on pit road have a big decision to make.
I guarantee there'll be a lot of guys when this race is over going back and say, we have got to work on one thing, and that is the right front problem with the brakes, because the Hendrick cars don't seem to be having any problem, and everybody else seems to be keeps rearing its ugly head and having problems. So I think I'd go with the guys that are getting it done right now and get that problem fixed, man.
I used to run a reflective tape on the inside of the wheel right in that bead area to try to reflect that heat off of the wheel. And I don't know if the guys can't, even if it's allowable now, but you don't see that like I used to do a few years ago.
You know, I think that Tim Brewer, he had a piece of that reflective tape on our cutaway car down there when we were talking earlier. But you know, it's all about heat. If you can do anything to get the heat away from the brakes, whether it's reflective tape or more cooling, anything, I mean, you got to believe that's all these guys got to work with right now.
Let's go down to Tim Brewer and take a look at what Rusty's talking about. Tim?
This reflective tape right here sits right over the rotor. We mold it on the inside of the wheels, and what it does, it tries to deflect the heat buildup off the rotor from getting in the container of the tire.
Yeah, Tim, I looked down there in the garage today, and even some of these that have had problems and have not seen that. You just see a regular wheel without that tape. So could be something these guys need to look at.
They need to look at any aspect to take heat out of the wheel, because, you know, it's just the nature of the beast. You know, like you said, you're using a lot of brakes to get down the corner to slow the car. Anytime you've got a lot of brake heat build up, you know, you're going to change the characteristic of the car, and after a while, you're going to blow the bead out of it.
Okay, speaking of brake problems and tire problems, Kyle Busch is back on pit road with another right front down.
But the guys up front are continuing the motor on. There is Kyle Busch again with that right front back on pit road, and now he's still being shown 6 laps down. He will lose at least 2 more, if not 3 more there.
Our leader's in a lot of traffic right here.
Jimmie Johnson trying to hold off Dale Earnhardt Jr. Johnson, a 4-time winner at Martinsville. Earnhardt Jr. has never won at this racetrack. It's going to get interesting here in the final 60 laps. Who will be the last man standing?
They sacrificed so many years. The chance they waited for is here.
Back at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia, 445 of 500 laps are in the books. Jimmie Johnson has led 6 times for 288 laps today. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2nd spot and moving in. Carl Edwards 3rd. Jeff Gordon now up to 4th. Denny Hamlin is 5th. Brian Vickers 6th. For you Bobby Labonte fans, the 43 car has now gone to the garage area with what they're saying may be a rear end problem. A rear end gearing problem, so they're down there working on that 43 for Bobby, trying to get him back out here in the final 50 laps. And we talked about how brakes were critical here and burning up rear ends here as far as the gears and what the selections you might have to be able to keep from having so much heat in the rear end.
Yeah, you run such a low ratio gear in the rear that it makes a lot of heat, and it's kind of fragile really, because you put all that torque on that rear end, and the rear gearing is a lot different here than you would see at, say, Charlotte or somewhere like that.
Let's update exactly what we're talking about. Tim, show us the options for the gears and why one develops more heat as opposed to the other.
Jerry, coming off the rear end gear right here, we've got the external pump. We've also got an internal pump on it to lubricate the thing and keep the gear cool. But look at this. This is a 650 to 1 ratio. This is a 364 to 1. But look at the mass and the difference. But this turns 6.5 times for 1 right here. But look at all the teeth. Look at the mass of the thing. Because when you're accelerating and deaccelerating, you generate a lot of heat. You don't have that much heat on this gear right here because, you know, you don't deaccelerate that much. But you use the gear to get up off the corner, the mechanical advantage to turn a lot of RPMs. But you also use that gear to stop the car getting down in the corner. But when you lock the rear wheels up or you spin out, the teeth actually fight themselves. And if you shell a teeth or crack a tooth right here, it's eventually going to break off, go down through, and it's going to grind itself to death, Jerry.
You can see, yeah, I'm sorry, Jerry. You can see that pinion gear that Tim was holding, that 650, how much smaller it is than the 364, and it spins a lot faster inside that housing than that 364. It makes a lot more heat. Hard to deal with.
Yeah, Robbie Gordon in the garage here earlier. Whoa, the 48 car trying to get around the 00 of Bliss and got it sideways.
Does a great job not to lose much momentum there doing that. He's trying to hold off Dale Jr., who is about 1.5 seconds behind Jimmy Johnson. Actually gained a couple of tenths. Junior did that lap.
Yeah, the 00 still has problems. He's up high on the racetrack again, and everybody's having to go out on the inside. You can see that's where Bliss's problem started right there. Jimmy Johnson having to take evasive action. See a battle here for 4th place. Denny Hamlin has caught Jeff Gordon trying to take that spot away.
It's like Jeff Gordon's car is good on the start of these runs, but then it goes away as they run a few laps. It's like Tony Stewart's got another problem with his right front. Here we go again.
It's been pretty amazing that Denny Hamlin's the one of the 3 Gibbs cars that hasn't had any problem. Of course, that shows he's running up front all day, but just how much easier he must be, or his crew did a better job with all of that.
Yeah, you worry about that being a problem. If one of your teammate has a problem, you worry that you might have it, but this is really a driver-related thing and how they use the brakes, because it can really be affected by the style.
Tony Stewart showing 3 laps down in 27th is where he was when he came on the pit road a moment ago.
Junior, he's closed this gap, boys. He's there.
Jimmy Johnson's had some problems with some of these cars. Looks like he may just be, he's catching them at the wrong spot, and that's what you always are fearful of as the leader of the race, just catching these guys at the wrong spot and then racing you a little bit hard. Allows that guy to close in, and Junior right there, just a car length back right now.
44 laps to go, and Dale Jr. does have a little better race car than Jimmy Johnson at this point.
What he'll have to do is get a break here. He's being able to make up this position, but he's got the 28 car, which is a lap down here, right in his groove.
83 Vickers getting by the 24. That's 4th position again, and moves Jeff Gordon back to 6th spot.
It's the same thing we saw the last run with Jeff Gordon. I'm sorry.
41 car up against the wall in 1 and 2.
Caution number 10, Reed Sorensen in the wall and in turn 2. And that is a huge break for the 07 car of Clint Boyer. He would have been the next car to go a lap down.
And Jeff Burton, he was just ahead of the 07. So this is a big break for these guys in the top 12.
I'm not sure it's not a big break for Jimmy Johnson too, because I believe his car is better on these shorter runs, and I believe Dale Jr. had the best car on the long run. I think we're going to see him get 4 tires here, guys.
Man, I tell you guys, that we don't have any laps to go. We got 42 laps to go. I think I do 2 tires. I agree with you, Dale. They're probably going to do 4. But I think I do 2, man. I really do.
No way you just said that.
I know.
I never saw you get 2 tires, ever.
I am a 4-tire guy. But I think that Burton's got to get back in this hunt, and he's got to take the gamble right now and go with the 2, guys. I really think so.
That's what wanted for Denny Hamlin, Rusty, back in the spring. He came in and took 2 tires, and everyone else took 4. He got the track position and held off to win the race.
Yeah, is there somebody going to stay out there and take the gamble with no tires? I mean, the tires have been pretty decent. The lap times haven't slowed down tremendously, so are one of these guys going to see everybody hit pit road and try to stay out there?
It's going to get good right here. We'll find out.
Reed Sorensen, who spun a moment ago, was running in 14th position, so he was having a good run, and he's spun to bring out the caution.
Yeah, they're going to keep the pit road closed because they're trying to get the 41 car off the racetrack right there at the entrance. So we'll have to wait another lap.
Build a little more drama. We can talk about what might happen even more here.
Yeah, but that's the thing. These guys can talk about it too.
That's right.
On the pit box and maybe change their mind.
Okay, crew chief, you're making the call for the 48 and the 88. What do you do?
Ooh, I think I'm going to have to go with right sides. The only way you can really guarantee you can stay out front is to take 2 tires. If you take 4 tires, you are going to have to pass a lot of cars, and we only have 40 laps to go. And if I'm in that guy's head, I'm thinking 2 tires.
I'm just thinking if you're one of those first 2 guys, if you go on and get 4 tires, even if a couple of guys take 2, you're not going to have a lot that are going to beat you out of the pits because you're so much in front of these guys, and you've got a lot of lap cars in between when they can get to pit road.
So if you're in the 48 and I say 2 tires, you going to overrule me as a driver?
No, I'm going with you. You say 2, that's what we're going to have to do. Okay, here we go.
Does anybody stay out and get no tires?
Well, so far, no takers on that. Although Carl Edwards has come to pit road. Here comes Denny Hamlin, Brian Vickers, Jeff Gordon, Casey Mears having a great run. The 6 car.
Yeah,
David Reagan.
Top 8 cars coming on the pit road. We'll get a watch. Here comes Harvick, Truex, Jeff Burton, and Boyer. Every car on the lead lap. Shannon.
Dale Jr. pulled that 88 car in right now, guys. I think they're going for 4 tires. That's what they said over the radio. So unless they call an audible, it will be 4 tires for this 88 team. Dave.
They will change 4 also for Denny Hamlin. They will raise the air pressure in 3 of the tires to try to get a little better drive at the end of this race. Mike.
Bob Osborne real hesitant to come in, did not want to lose the track position, but took his cue from the 48 team. They'll take 48 tires, as does Jimmy Johnson, a 4-tire change, but the 48 team much quicker off pit road.
Okay, you win, Dale. They got 4 tires.
All kinds of issues for the 31 car trying to get back. By the way, the 17 car did stay on the racetrack. He was the only car on the lead lap that stayed out, Matt Kenseth. Issues for the 31 car, getting him on and off pit road.
Yeah, a lot of problems there for Jeff Burton. Watch as he enters his pit here, or tries to enter his pit. Jeff Gordon's in the spot on the inside. He has to back up a little bit because he's pitted outside the box. That's going to be a lap penalty there because they performed work outside of the box.
That is the rule on that. You can back up. They give you an opportunity to back up before you perform service on it. But if you don't, it is a lap penalty.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I knew that rule from doing it. So.
There's Jeff Burton coming back down pit road again. Matt Kenseth, as I mentioned, he is the only one on the lead lap that did not come on to pit road. His tires will be about 80 laps older than everybody else. Back in just a moment. Back at Martinsville Speedway, let's check out today's Sprint Cup monster moment. It involved a pit stop of the 31 car here a moment ago and a miscue. Watch the car come in and the NASCAR official noting that the front of the car, the nose, is over the line.
Unfortunate because he kind of got blocked out of his pit stall, and these guys went ahead and pitted it, but the front end of the car was over that front line. You see the official waving. Get back behind that line, and if you do get behind it before you perform service, it's okay, but if you perform any service, it's a lap penalty.
Yeah, and it's not just the tire there, it's any part of the car hanging over that front part.
For more monster moments, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile.
Here we go.
Green flag.
Matt Kenseth rolls the dice, stays on the racetrack. Let's see if it works for him.
Well, I don't think it's going to work to win the race, and I don't think that's what he was after. I think that it's just going to try to see how many positions he could pick up here.
And he needed to lead today to get those 5 bonus points. He had not led yet here in Martinsville, so he will get the opponents for leading the last 4 laps.
Greg Biffle there has passed him and got himself back on the lead lap right now, so if Greg could get a quick caution, then he would be back on the lead lap after spending the last half of the race here a lap down.
43 back in the race, Bobby Labonte, after being in the garage for the gear change there on the Richard Petty owned car.
See Jimmy Johnson close in on Matt Kenseth there.
He drives in hard on Matt Kenseth's bumper.
Matt trying to block him a little bit. Look, maybe gives him some room now. He saw that Jimmy had that spot.
At that point in the race, there's just a whole lot less give than there is take.
You see Dale Jr. try to follow right in behind. He wants to stay as close as he can to this 48 car to have any chance of winning at all.
More on Matt Kenseth. Jamie.
What a wild race it's been for Matt Kenseth. Remember early on in the race, he spun on his own. He kept it okay. Everything was good with the car. He went a lap down. He got the lucky dog and came back, guys, and he decided to stay out this last option period as Dale Jr. goes on the inside. He stayed out because he said the car was just coming to him. So he started 11th, then he's battling for first right now, guys.
Probably not a bad move on these guys' part. They weren't going to go up through there and pass a lot of cars with it torn up, so let's make them. We haven't really seen the tires fall off all of that much, so probably a pretty good move by Matt Kenseth and his team.
Jeff Gordon just got right sides under that last caution. Made up a spot or two. He's running 5th right now.
Greg Biffle being shown a lap down in 13th position. Jimmy goes by. Or tries to go by on the bottom of the racetrack. Earnhardt Jr. hugging the inside as well.
It seems it takes Junior's car about 10 laps to get the tire pressures up to where he really seems to start putting pressure and running the laps that he needs to.
Carl Edwards had a bit of an issue in his pit stop a moment ago as well. Mike?
Yeah, Doc, a bit of a driver error, and it remains to be seen how big it will be. After they completed service on the 99 car, radioed in and said, guys, I forgot to tell you, I was a little bit loose off. And then he kind of, I would guess, felt a little bit bad about it and asked Bob Osborne, is there anything I can do from inside the car to tighten it up? Bob simply said, no, you just got to live with it.
We got Mike Bliss stopped off the racetrack on turn 2, and he's trying. All the leaders almost ran over this double zero.
Yeah, I think he's going to get back to pit road, but man, that was about to be a big crash off of turn 4.
Third position, the 99 trying to get by the 17. Andy, as you mentioned, the 24 car only took 2 tires, and he's run this group of cars down. Jeff Gordon trying to move in now on the 17 car for 4th position.
They better do it now because his car goes away after they run about 25 laps. So this is the best his car is going to be.
You can see Denny Hamlin right behind him, who took on 4 tires there also. He's been able to run this pack of cars down. See Matt Kenseth really fighting that car. Jeff Gordon trying to outbrake him down into the corner now. Gets that inside position, will be able to make that pass.
Seeing Jimmy Johnson now run some of the fastest laps of the race for him.
Just amazing. This team does it week in and week out. When it gets time to win the race, they are hard to beat.
Gordon able to make the pass. Now take the spot away. There goes Johnson, Earnhardt, Edwards, Gordon, Kenseth, and Hamlin. Really good run by the 5 car of Mears. Casey Mears now being shown in 7th position. Brian Vickers back in 8th. Kevin Harvick is 9th, and David Reagan 10th. We asked Jimmy Johnson, even with the biggest lead of anyone coming into Martinsville in recent years, is the championship in the bag?
I'd be foolish right now to think we have something under control and stop doing what I've done all season long and throughout this chase. So I need to show up each week ready to race for the win, qualify as good as we can, and really outrun the 16, outrun the 99, outrun the 31. That's my goal.
He did it a year ago. Remember what happened starting with Martinsville last year, guys? Jimmy Johnson, what would we say, opened up a can on the competition. Back-to-back victories. 4 in a row. First time that had been done since 1998 when Jeff Gordon did it.
We got a can open right now, too. He's led 316 laps today.
I'm not sure he's going to need all of those victories to win a 3rd consecutive championship, but he's well on his way to being able to do that. The race ended right now. He would have a 152-point lead, so he's well on his way to that 3rd consecutive championship, which has only been done one other time by Cale Yarborough.
1976, 77, and 78 when Cale did it.
Okay, that last lap, that was the first time that Junior has beaten this 48 car. He beat him about just a few hundredths, but he did beat him a little bit.
Johnson came back and beat him the next one by a 10th, so just kind of back and forth. It's whoever hits their marks exactly right, and Junior still has a shot though. He's not out of this.
They're going to catch some lap traffic here pretty quickly too, so they're probably going to figure into this.
Yeah. Casey Mears, you see him going by Greg Biffle there. Greg's a lap down, but Casey Mears has himself up in the 6th spot.
Yeah,
great day for him.
All 4 Hendrick cars in the top 6, where they all 4 finished the top 7 back in March.
Yeah, and Mears looks like he wants some of Denny Hamlin right here.
He's looking at a top 5 finish here if he can get by this 11.
The guy that doesn't have a top 5 here, Kevin Harvick, who hasn't had much success here, trying to get himself up into that top 5. We have a caution. 38 car in turn 3 and 4. Wow, he's hit hard.
Got a left rear flat. That's usually a sign of contact when you see a left rear tire down like that.
Guys, what do you do? Stay on the racetrack?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're here.
We're not coming in this time.
But they're going to be close once again here on the restart. Looks like it's a two-man race, really. See the replay here. See David Rudeman battling with David Gilliland.
Yeah, you see that splitter just cut that left rear tire.
Yeah, Gilliland was running in 28th position. This the 11th caution flag of the day, and that will, by the way, give heavy contact with Gilliland. That'll give Greg Biffle a chance to get back on the lead lap. Back with the green in just a moment. Laps clicking away here at Martinsville, Virginia. 11 laps to go. Jimmy Johnson trying to hold off Dale Earnhardt Jr. This should be a shootout in just a moment.
Brace yourselves. It's every driver's dream, and we're down to 12.
It'll be 8 laps to go when they take the green flag. Matt Kenseth, Clint Boyer, and Brian Vickers. Those 3 cars on the lead lap did come on the pit road a moment ago. These guys did not. Can Jimmy Johnson hold off Earnhardt Jr.?
Jr. didn't get a good jump there. This first corner is always tough. Not exactly sure how far you can drive in there if your car's going to stick.
Jimmy Johnson, a nice run off turn 2.
Remember, Carl Edwards has never won here and never led a lap here.
48 car just use a word that you used yesterday in practice, and he launched off of that corner.
And Jimmy Johnson is so precise with that car, he's going to be almost impossible to beat here these last few laps. Looks like Junior's under attack. Carl's got a fender.
Carl Edwards on the inside. It'll be 6 to go this time by. Junior pulls him now by half a car length.
Jimmy Johnson's looking back and telling those guys just to keep racing hard for second. That's the best thing that could happen for him.
Yeah, his biggest ally right now is Carl Edwards.
Coming up on 5 laps to go here.
5 to go.
Hendrick cars have Carl surrounded here.
He doesn't have to look too far back to see that 4th Hendrick car, as they run in the 4 Hendrick cars running in the top 6 here today. Casey Mears under attack from Kevin Harvick, though. He's wanting that spot.
That's 6th and 7th. Remember, Harvick has never had a top 5 finish here either. 4 to go as Jimmy Johnson now pulls away by almost a second.
Matt Kenseth came in that last caution and got tires, and he's up on the, whoa, he turns David Reagan, or hits him off of turn 4. You see Reagan all the way down the inside. I believe he's got a flat tire. David Reagan spins.
Comes out, Cox is out. Got one spun, a bill 1 and 2.
Set up a green-white checker finish.
I'm not sure if he's got, I don't think he's got a flat, or has a flat. I think he just got some rubber buildup on his tires. He and Matt Kenseth had a little contact coming out of turn 4. Matt was trying to work the outside. That gets a little bump. I think it's just the rubber buildup here as he went down into this corner then and tried to make that corner.
Also, he had a terrible angle by being so low on the straightaway. When he got to the corner, he had to make an abrupt move with the steering wheel.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Dave. He had a great run all day from the back of the pack in a backup car. Had to start 43rd today. Had himself in the top 10.
Yeah, he was running 8th position at that point in time. As you mentioned, what a great job he had done. Well, guys, green-white checkered finish here. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to have to get a better jump than he did a moment ago on that restart.
Yeah, he did. He got he just lost a couple car lengths on that initial start. Couldn't make it up. As a matter of fact, Jimmy Johnson actually pulled away 4 or 5 car lengths.
He's going to have to be close enough if he wants to just get a little bit of a bumper on Jimmy. His best shot's going to be down in 1 and 2, down in the middle of 1 and 2.
This is the second green-white checker in Martinsville Speedway history, and the guy who won the first one is leading right now, Jimmy Johnson. How about Tony Eury Jr.? What's he thinking about right now?
He's thinking, I sure hope we get a better restart than we did last time.
Let's talk to Clint Boyer, our in-race reporter, back in 10th spot.
Clint, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy?
I got it.
Clint, see you there in 10th. You made a pit stop just a minute ago. Got a little bit more for these last couple of laps?
I hope so. I think we can get 1 or 2 more here. It's going to be a dogfight. So try to hold on and tough it out.
What have you been fighting most of the day with your car?
I just tie it off, rotating the center off, you know, just kind of snap loose, push loose. So that's kind of something that's hard to fix, but Gil and all the boys on Jack Daniels Chevrolet are doing a good job trying.
All right, Clint, good luck in these last couple of laps. Thanks for talking with us today.
Thanks.
So Johnson, Earnhardt Jr., Edwards, Gordon, and Hamlin, that's a top 5. Then Casey Mears is 6th. Harvick, Kenza, Truex, and Clint Boyer in 10th spot. Ryan Vickers is 11th and Biffle 12th. There are 13 cars on the lead lap.
There's our overtime finishes this year. See there, if Jimmy Johnson can hold off and win this thing, this will be his first green white checker finish of the year, or at least a win.
See these guys really getting their tires cleaned off here.
Okay, Dale, how do you get that position on the 48 if you're Dale Jr.? What do you do right here?
You just got to try to make the best restart you possibly can. Jimmy Johnson is what we've seen on previous restarts, is he doesn't get into that first corner very hard. That'll be Junior's chance if he can get a good restart to get to Jimmy's bumper. Just a little bit of a tap there. That's going to be your best shot. You can send him up the track a little bit.
Championship hanging in the balance here. Can Jimmy Johnson hold him off? Remember, only one attempt at a green-white checkered. And here they come. Johnson just pulls away at a turn 4.
Yeah, I think he looked back and he saw Junior easing up on him, and that's whenever he took off. A nice restart by Jimmy Johnson.
Five-car lengths for Jimmy Johnson. Earnhardt Jr.'s got one and a little over 1 lap to get there. White flag for Johnson.
White flag this time.
What a dominant day for Jimmy Johnson. He's led 7 times for 339 laps. And down the back straightaway, Jimmy Johnson trying to pick up his 6th win in 2008.
Good job, guys. Good job, Jimmy. Yeah, we roll, boys. But excellent performance, gentlemen. Excellent performance. Great work. That's what you call. That's it. That's what you call points race. Getting them all.
That's the way you get all of them. Lead the most laps and take that win.
All 4 Hendrick cars finishing in the top 6. It is the
I could not be prouder of you, man. You did an incredible job today.
Chad Canals talking to his driver. It is the 17th.
Championship strength there. Freaking awesome all day.
17th win for Hendrick Motorsports. 7 of the last 9 times they have come here, these cars have won. And by the last 6 races in the fall in a row.
Yeah, if you look at this finishing order, 8 of the top 9 finishers were all chase drivers. So that tells you the quality of these race teams and why they're in the chase. Casey Mears in 6th was the only driver that's not a part of the chase there.
Nice burnout, man. He does everything right.
Man, and that's a small front stretch to be doing all of that on.
Jimmy Johnson gets his 5th win at Martinsville Speedway in 14 starts, his 6th win of 2008. We'll be back with our NASCAR Sprint Cup Series post-race after this message and a word from our ABC station. Back at Martinsville, Virginia, the 339 laps led by Jimmy Johnson today were the most in his entire NASCAR Sprint Cup career in a single race. Let's go down to victory lane and Mike Massaro.
And Jimmy has just climbed from his race car. You led 339 laps. I guess we shouldn't be surprised based upon what we've seen you do at this racetrack in the past. How have you been able to dominate the way you have here in Martinsville?
It's just been good to me. At first, I wish there was a missile that we could redirect over here and blow this place up whenever it just came here. But, man, what a car. And just a great race team and patience over the years. And me just taking the time to learn this place, and it's paid off. But what a better way to points race and go out and lead the most laps, win the race, and do that kind of stuff. I'm very proud of this race team, very proud of the effort we put in today in this Lowe's Impala. The fans have been great. I can't thank them enough for all their support and watching what this team's been able to do through the chase. So thank you, everybody.
As dominant as you were, you still had to go through a green-white checker situation, holding off your teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. What were your thoughts just before the green flag came out for that green-white checker?
I hope I don't mess this up. those restarts are tough, and I've been vulnerable here in the past on restarts. And we worked hard in practice to make sure we were good on the short run. Probably a little off on the long haul, and the 88 was catching us the run before we pitted there. The last caution came out, and we just had to really focus on the short run, and thankfully it played out that way. And I also cannot leave here without
that's what it's all about.
Bringing attention to Rick and what took place here a few years ago with that plane going down, and everybody we miss and wish they were here.
Looking at the big picture, 4 races to go. You've got a very sizable lead. Have you begun thinking about potentially claiming that 3rd title yet?
It's getting closer. It's still not time. I still, as long as I can hold off and just worry about winning races, the better. And hopefully I can do that in the next 2 or 3 races and cruise on in from there.
Well, Doc, car owner Rick Hendrick has been patiently waiting to congratulate his driver. He'll give him a big hug, and reason for that. What a dominant win by Jimmie Johnson.
Like the 23rd 1-2 finish for Hendrick Motorsports drivers, and the 4th time it has happened right here at Martinsville Speedway. Jimmie Johnson takes the win, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. finishes in 2nd spot.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Chevy, the most wins in NASCAR history. That's an American Revolution. And Sprint, featuring NASCAR Nextel Cup Series updates at Sprint Speed.
Just 4 rounds remaining in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. The largest points lead now in the 5-year history of the chase, leaving Martinsville. Jimmie Johnson, 149 points over Greg Biffle. You see Burton back in 3rd position. But the career best finishes for the 2nd place finisher at Martinsville, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's with Shannon's Pay.
And you can see the big smile on Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s face right now. How strong was this run for this team today?
Well, we had tore up a lot of race cars in the last few weeks. Had a lot of bad luck, and we needed a good finish. And I love short track racing, and it's a good track for me. I didn't have anything for Jimmy. Their car was so awesome. He's cutting in the center, and he had good power down up off the corner. I was spinning the tires in the gas, trying to get up off the corner and doing the best I could to protect my spot with Carl there. He run me real clean. We run him pretty clean earlier in the race. So it's pretty fun racing him, being in the mix. You know, we just had so much bad luck, so it's real good for us. I want to thank AMP National Guard. My team did an awesome job building a heck of a race car. We had some good, great pit stops. You know, we just had a real good, solid day, and we took care of it. I didn't got any marks down the right side. Got a lot of guys running in the left side of it all day long, but we took good care of our car all day.
Your car looked really strong on the long runs. How much of those cautions at the end of the race hurt you guys?
Well, I wanted to go green the rest of the way after we got tires with 112 to go, and but you're not going to have that here. And even if you did, I mean, you know, NASCAR's going to try to get some cautions near the end of the race and pack them back up, make it pretty exciting. So we just weren't good on the short run. We were too tight for 10 laps, and then the car would spin the tires up off the corner and try to the right rear end. And then that would go away, and I could really get to going about lap 60. But we just weren't lucky enough to have the race play out like that for us.
Yeah, but it was a great day for this team despite that 2nd place finish for the 88.
Shannon, early into the race, you heard Chad Knaus and Jimmie Johnson talking about reclaiming the quote-unquote magic in the race car. Seemed like you found that magic.
Yeah, I don't know where the button was, but Jimmy searched around and found it. Must have been in the glove box. It was just a great day. The Lowe's and Powell SS I mean, it was great. Pit crew did a really good job. We had one slip up on pit road. The jack man fell, and he recovered great. Did a good job of not making the situation worse than what it potentially could have been. And, you know, it's awesome to be able to come here to Martinsville and run the way that we did today and beat the caliber of teams that we had to beat. You know, it was some heavy hearts here, obviously, with Steve Lawson passing away. You know, NASCAR official was a great guy, good friend to all of us, and I hated that we had to do that today because, you know, we've had, with the Hendrick Motorsports team, we've lost a lot of good people here at this fall Martinsville race. It was only about four short years ago that we lost a lot of our friends and family. But so every time we come here, we have a little bit of extra incentive, and, you know, to be able to do this, it was great, special.
And we, of course, saw Rick Hendrick celebrating with you. I want to bring something back up. You mentioned your jackman falling down on pit road. What were your thoughts at that point, knowing that stop was so critical with a 99 right behind you?
Well, we always try to do our best to make sure that when we have something go wrong, that we don't worsen the situation. And we practice that, whether that be on the racetrack or in pits or through practice or whatever it is. If something happens, this team does a really good job of recovering, gathering its wits, and completing the task at hand. And Kenneth Purcell, our jackman, he did a great job today doing that. Could have very easily slipped up and it could just blow in the whole race for us or drop the jack on the left side and knock the side off of the car or something like that. And he did a good job. Our whole pit crew did. Our coaching staff this year has really done a good job, so we're pretty happy.
Well, Alan, I asked Chad right before we went on camera if I could talk to him about the points race. He said, I'm just going to give you the same answer. They're not thinking about it yet.
Well, I mean, the flat bottom line is you get the most points by leading the most laps and winning the race, and they did that today.
They did do that today, but think about this. They have won 4 out of 5 races here at Martinsville, guys. That's just unheard of. I mean, that is domination.
I hate to blow it for the fans, but it's over. I can just give Jimmy Johnson the trophy. Did Earnhardt Jr. say that NASCAR would come up with a caution to bunch the field up? Did I hear him say
He did.
He did say that.
I can't believe he said that.
I thought you said it's not over till it's over. He's telling me it's over.
You got to pull your Dandy Don invitation and say turn out the
I hate
line.
to ruin it for the fans, but it is over.
A lot of Red Sox people thought it was over too, and that's going to Game 7. So there you go. Jimmy Johnson has won again. The spoils of the victor. Very nice in the winner's circle. We have lots more post-race coverage to come from Martinsville. Hang on.
Jimmy Johnson has won it in dominant fashion at Martinsville Speedway. Dale Earnhardt Jr. finishes second in a career-best finish here at Martinsville for Carl Edwards, who had a shot. Let's go down and chat with him.
Yeah, top 5 finish for Carl Edwards. Carl, after the last 2 weeks, just a sense of relief to get out of here in the top 5.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. I mean, 3rd place at Martinsville for us. That's good. So I just can't thank Office Depot and Aflac and Ford, especially all my fans, for sticking with us. These last 2 weeks have been, been painful. We just had things happen. So the great thing is that we can build on this. We can go forward. It's like Jack said, we're like buzzards. We just got to circle and hope for something to happen. And these next 4 races, I think we can win all 4 of them. And I feel real good going forward.
Those last couple laps, watching Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr. around you, how much were you counting each point if you could pass those guys?
I really wanted to pass Dale, but he was a little better. And I knew if we got to race him real hard and I couldn't complete the pass, that it might let Jeff get by. So it's like Bob said on the radio. He said, just remember, 3rd's a lot better than 4th here. So, that last restart just kind of protected my ground, and we ended up 3rd. So, if Jimmy hadn't won, this would be spectacular for us. But as it stands, it's a great, solid week for us.
Yeah, and some smart racing for Carl Edwards. Mike?
Shannon, as good as Jimmy Johnson is here at Martinsville, it's not just exclusive to the 48. The entire Hendrick Motorsports team, very strong. Again, Jeff Gordon, another good run. Your 8th consecutive top 5 finish here in Martinsville. How would you assess the day?
I didn't know that. Thank you. I mean, I love top 5s, but, we were still looking for that win. And I knew Jimmy was going to be so tough to beat, especially that #1 pit stall. And I thought we had something for him. We're just kind of trying to, keep ourselves in position. That one long run just really hurt us. We just got so loose off. But made a great call by Steve Letarte there at the end. Take 2 tires, end up 4th. What an amazing day for Hendrick Motorsports. 1st, 2nd, 4th, and I think 6th with Casey. So great day. Jimmy and Chad and those guys are tough to beat, especially that #1 pit stall. You don't want to give anything like that to them to make it any easier. They're unbelievable here.
We're all very amazed with what he was able to do today. He led over 300 laps, but you raced side by side with him at times. Give us a sense of how strong that car was.
He was really strong. I had to take my first shot at him and get him on the restart. I just wanted to lead some laps and see what we had for him, but we got into traffic, and he just kind of, would not try to push it too hard. And I'd get inside of him. We both struggled a little bit on the long runs, but we were so good on the short runs, and he was just able to get out there and maintain. And for some reason, we just weren't and fell back. But he's so smooth here. He doesn't make mistakes. I think when you've got a driver like that, a crew chief like Chad Knaus, an organization like Hendrick, it's that's a combination tough to beat that not many people have over the last few years.
And nobody did today, Dave.
Well, in the final tally, Jeff Burton was 17th, and Jeff, I know you guys were hoping for a lot more with a car that ran as high as 2nd.
Yeah, we were definitely hoping more than that. We didn't run as well as we needed to, for sure. We fought rear grip, which really surprised me. I thought that was our strength in practice with rear grip. I missed something in the field I was looking for in practice to be able to give them the information. Well, we were battling. We had a shot at the top 10, and came on pit road, and Jeff was leaving and I was coming in. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. We just bad timing, and to keep from hitting him, I got too far down pit road. Then I couldn't get in my pit box. And then when we started changing the tires, and then they told us we were out of the box, and then it just went downhill from there. So we needed to. I don't know what we needed to do different. Obviously, I wish I could have done something different, and I'll go back and watch the tape and try to learn from it. But when you come down pit road and somebody's leaving, it just puts you in a really bad spot. So bad day, but could have been worse. Could have been a whole lot better.
I assume typical Martinsville in your mind, that stuff happens a lot here.
It does, but it's just a timing deal. I mean, it really, if you're coming in and got to go around him and he's pulling out and you're on that timing deal, then it can just bite you, and that's what got us today. But again, I'll go back and watch the video and see what I can learn from it.
You're the most recent winner on a 1.5 mile track. We're heading that direction next week. Are you excited about that?
I am excited. I mean, I don't think this thing's over. I know we didn't have a great day and we lost some points, but you know what? If we didn't have a great day, that means other people will not have great days. We're just going to go out and race hard, and like I said last week, we're just here to have fun and go like hell and see what we can make happen.
Great. Thanks, Jeff.
Jeff Burton, the first finish outside the top 10 thus far in the chase, 17th, drops back to 3rd in the points, 152 behind Jimmie Johnson. But as he said, 3 of the final 4 events are on 1.5 mile racetracks where Jeff Burton is very good at Atlanta and Texas and Homestead. But also, so is Jimmie Johnson, who, by the way, a year ago won this one and went on to win 4 in a row. More from Martinsville in just a moment. Celebration ongoing. They're spraying the champagne, and rightfully so. What a dominant performance. Chad Knaus, Jimmie Johnson, and the Lowe's team for Hendrick Motorsports. 17th win at Martinsville for Rick Hendrick. Well, Chad's going to fill the cup up with champagne. He's going to take a swig in celebration. Let's go down to Mike Massaro with the winning car owner.
And Doc, you mentioned 17 victories for Hendrick Motorsports here at Martinsville, and it started here in 1984. Your first win came here. How have you guys been able to dominate this track the way you have?
Oh, I wish I knew. If I knew the answer to that, we'd probably try it somewhere else. But I think most all the guys that have raced here, Bodine, all of our drivers, Darrell Waltrip, I think over the years we've learned some things, and I know Jeff spent a lot of time here, and he's taught a lot of our other guys, how to get around this place. But the whole organization, crew chiefs, drivers, everybody works hard here, and this is kind of the home track, and well, I'm about 50 miles from here anyway. But I can't. I wish I knew, but we just seem to always come to the front here, and hope it continues. I hope we continue to race at Martinsville.
And it looked like it was going to come down to 2 of your drivers. What was it like for you watching Dale Jr. and Jimmie Johnson there on that green-white checker?
Well, I always tell them before this race, hey man, keep the big picture in mind and think, because I saw Kenny Schrader and Ricky Rudd running 1-2, wrecked both of them off of 2 here, and it was one of the worst days of my racing career. And it can happen here and happen in a hurry, but these guys are really good. They use their heads, and you just kind of stand back and hope the best guy wins.
And Rick Hendrick has plenty of reason to celebrate today, Doc.
Mike has 17 wins spread among 4 different drivers. 7 for Jeff Gordon today, the 5th for Jimmie Johnson. Old DW got it 4 times, and as you mentioned, the very first win that sort of launched Hendrick Motorsports onto a successful career. Jeffrey Bodine's 1 win back in 1984. A good run today for our 12th place finisher, Clint Boyer. Jamie's with him.
And Clint Boyer right at the end gets that last position and finishes 9th. Clint, how was your day?
It was rough. Gil and all the guys did a good job trying to fix the car. We were just way too tight center off all day long, and I was a little down on horsepower myself, so probably didn't give them 100% today. But top 10 finish is good for us. Really proud of the guys.
How do you guys feel about sitting 5th in points right now as we go in 4 races left now?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing what we need to do. We need to be running better, but like I say, we got to keep these top 10s coming, and if we do that, I think we can top 5 this too.
All right, Clint Boyer brings it home 9th, and he sits 5th in the points.
And when Greg Biffle jumped out of his race car, he held the soft drink high as if you had just won. So what are you saying after a day like today?
I'm saying if we're still that close to the 48 after Martinsville, we got a chance at catching him. You know, we got some great tracks coming up for us. This is what we needed to do here. We needed to get a top 10. We fell up, you know, fell a little bit short of that, finished 12th. But, man, I can't complain about that day. And just, you know, wrong call, pit call, you know, to stay out there probably. Right at the last minute, Irwin said we should get 2 in fuel, and I was driving by the pit entry commitment line, and I couldn't get down. So just the guys just did a great job, prepared the car for me. Just wish that I'd have been able to stay on the lead lap. I think I had a chance at, you know, maybe a top 7 or 8th place finish, maybe top 5, never know.
I understand the logic of your attitude. I'm a little surprised, though. I mean, were you thinking as this race was winding down, we've done it, we've accomplished what we need to do?
Yes, I was. Once we got the lucky dog, which secured me, you know, the worst place finish of like 13th or 14th. That's really what we needed. You know, there for a while we were in bad shape. You know, we were 25th or so, and if we wouldn't have been able to get through that traffic, we'd have been in big trouble. So, you know, the car was good and the brakes were great. Best brakes I've ever had at Martinsville. I'm excited. I'm excited about coming back here in the spring and see if I can do better.
And how excited about going to the 1.5 mile tracks coming up?
I can't wait. I can't wait. Hang on, we're gonna let her rip.
All right, pay attention to the 16. They are not done yet, guys.
And Martin Truex finishes 10th, so not bad for a place you guys like to call your Achilles heel along with Charlotte. Take us through your day.
Yeah, it's been our worst track. Today was a good day. Our car was fairly decent all day long. Pretty good on the short runs. Lost too much forward bite on the long runs to be really good, but proud of all the guys. Got to thank Bass Pro and Tracker, Cub Cadet, everybody that's on board our race car for sticking with us. We've had a few tough weeks here, but we've had some great race cars, and I got to thank the guys back at the shop for that. Everybody at DCR Engines doing a good job. So had fun today. This is the most fun I've ever had here at Martinsville. Hopefully, you know, we learn some things for next year. We can step it up and get a top 5 or have a shot at a win.
And your crew chief, Bono, told me you guys are working on some R&D stuff, and it seems to be paying off. What kinds of things do you feel is making a difference?
You know, this is a new generation chassis for us. This car we ran in New Hampshire holds a little bit more weight. That certainly helps, you know, and it's just a little bit different. So we're just kind of working through some things. This car feels really good. We ran 6 with it at Loudon and pretty good here. So something to work with, something we're working on. And but really our cars have been pretty good all year long. We've been fast. Just we haven't been able to put it all together and finish the races. So if we can put it all together from here on out, we'll be good going through the winter, and we'll be looking forward to next year.
It was a great finish. We had a green-white checker. What's it like racing in position with chasers in front of you and behind you?
You know, it's not a big deal. You know, I don't race anyone differently anytime, no matter who it is or what the situations are. You know, I don't run into people. I've always been clean, and I pride myself on that. So I don't think I really had much contact with anyone today. That's, you know, for Martinsville, that's pretty good. But generally, I try to show a lot of guys respect, and I get the same in return, so it works out well.
You spun it out, kept it clean, kept it off the wall. Good day for Martin Truex Jr. Thanks, Martin.
And now we head to the final 4 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup in 2008. Atlanta, Texas, Phoenix, and Homestead. 4 drivers still within that 200-point window, and it seemed Greg Biffle was pretty optimistic. He's that close and still got a shot.
Well, he definitely has a shot. There's no doubt about that. All of these guys still are in there that are within 200 points. But they're going to have help from Jimmy Johnson and his team, and that help would come in the form of some trouble somewhere along the way. But Greg is right. He's got 3 good 1.5 mile tracks coming up in these next 4 races, so could make it interesting if Jimmy and his team should falter somewhere.
I haven't seen a crack in the armor of that 48 yet. I don't see any way that they're going to give up these 150 points. Anything can happen. These are machines, and circumstances can take them out. But boy, this team is just unbelievable the way they've executed on every kind of racetrack at the right time, and they're peaking right now.
And it's appropriate that team and Hendrick Motorsports has been so dominant at this racetrack, because it was 4 years ago this weekend, October 24, 2004, that they lost Ricky Hendrick, the son of Rick, and that's why they honored Ricky with those hats on backwards there in Victory Lane. So many members of that family and organization perished in a plane crash that day.
As the fans file out of Martinsville, we look at the upcoming races in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Atlanta next weekend, Texas, Phoenix, Homestead. Tickets available for all of those races, and all of them coming up live on ABC as we see whether or not Jimmy Johnson can make history, becoming just the 2nd man to win 3 straight NASCAR Sprint Cup titles. Well, what a great day Jamie McMurray had. Jamie Little.
Well, it was a very promising day most of the time for Jamie McMurray. Jamie, take us through what exactly happened. What did you feel as you guys were running top 5?
Just when we got ready to take the last restart, I could hear the rear end winding real bad, and it just didn't sound normal. But usually when you get down to the end of a race, your brakes, you hear noises that probably don't mean a whole lot. And we had that restart, and I ran about 10 laps there, and I guess the locker or something broke in the rear end. I don't know a lot about that. But whatever it was vital to make the car go forward. So had to come in and change gears. So really tough day. Here in Bristol, you work so hard all day long, and to break with 100 laps to go and be in a good position, it's tough.
Today, a lot of news about your crew chief next year. They're saying you're going to have another crew chief. What is that situation like as a driver, trying to move forward and stay focused on the job at hand?
I mean, you get paid to race a car, and it's really. It's going to be good for the whole Roush Fenway organization. Nobody's getting fired, and they're just going to shake it up a little bit. And I'd love to be able to tell you what it is, but it's not done yet. So when it's done, I'd love to talk about it. But for right now, we're just trying to do the best we can with the team that we have, and everybody's doing a great job.
Top 5 last weekend. You guys were running top 5 here. You've led some laps. You've been running up front. Where's this coming from? I know a lot of people are asking that question.
We really. The last 3 months we've run really well, and we just have had really bad luck. And today is the same thing. At Charlotte we finished 5th, but we had a flat tire on the 50th lap. So it just seems like if it could go wrong, it is. And I'm okay with that right now as long as it gets out of the way. And next year we don't have all this.
Promising performance lately for the 26th. Look for him to be a threat for the next 4.
All right, Jamie, so good performance, but bad results. 38th place finish for McMurray today. Does he walk out of here happy or very, very disappointed?
A little bit of both. I mean, he's had good runs, like you've said. I mean, the last 5 or 6 races have been really strong.
Yeah.
A little perplexed why they're changing crew chiefs. Larry Carter is a fantastic crew chief, and they've been having really good runs now. So said nobody's getting fired. They're going to shake it up a little bit, but pretty excited the way McMurray's been running. I thought he's been running really well.
Yeah, he's really had if you look at some of the runs he's had throughout the season, he has had some really significant runs, but it's always been something going wrong. So I think the shakeup comes just to try to change the luck, just try to change the momentum and get that mojo working, because Jamie's an excellent race car driver, and I look forward to season next year because I think he's going to do a great job.
Shuffling the parts within the organization, something Jack Roush has done a lot in the past to get his team's performances better. A team that had a good performance today, crew chief, is with Dave.
It's safe to say it was a good day to work for Mr. Rick Hendrick. Where did you guys come from, Alan?
Hendrick Motorsports. That's a good thing. It's always a good day to work for Mr. Rick Hendrick. But, we had to start a little further back because of points, and Casey did a really good job driving the Kelly's CarQuest Chevrolet up there and got a good finish. We wish we had a little more time. Our car's a little better on the long run. We're going to need that last couple of cautions, I guess, but all in all, a good day.
What does that say about your team, given the fact that he is leaving, that you guys are regrouping for next year and you pull out this race today?
We all want to win. I mean, that's pretty much it. We're looking to win a race for Rick and for our sponsors, Kellogg's and CarQuest, and Casey, who's done a good job for us. Had a good shot here, but Jimmy was awful strong. So we'd have liked to got to race him, but we just ran out of time.
And is there a little sense on a day like today that you go, okay, we got to make sure the 5's up there too, because if everybody else is running up there, we had better be near the top 5.
Well, we want to beat them regardless. It's nice to have everybody up there, and I'm just really happy for Hendrick Motorsports. All the 500 employees there really worked their tail off. It's a special place to us for obvious reasons. Really happy for the boss, and congratulations to Jimmy and Chad there, and good day for the points for everybody.
Great. Thanks, Alan. Great day for Casey and everybody on this team, guys.
All 4 Hendrick cars finishing in the top 6. Jimmy Johnson, the winner today. Jimmy told us at the top of the broadcast on NASCAR Countdown that Martinsville's a place where newcomers can kind of take their lumps. Well, Scott Speed made his Sprint Cup debut today and his Martinsville debut. Jamie?
Well, he's raced in Formula One trucks. ARCA made your Cup debut today. So what'd you think, Scott?
Well, it didn't exactly go as well as we thought it was after Happy Hour. I mean, we had a really good car here yesterday, and we struggled with the brake problems from the beginning on, and 20 laps into it, the brake was to the floor, and when that happens in Martinsville, you're in for a long day, and luckily we were able to keep out of trouble and just make the 500 laps and pick up some positions, so it ended up being a good day, but it was certainly frustrating.
I know you weren't running up front with the top runners, but what did you think of the competition? Was it what you had heard?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. All these guys, I mean, you look at the top guys in the truck series, they're all capable guys. I mean, there's a lot of really good talent out here.
First start of very many for Scott Speed. Thanks, guys.
So much going on in one of these Martinsville races. Rusty, did you get a chance to notice Scott Speed? What did you think of his debut?
Well, I didn't get a chance to see a lot of him, Alan. I kept looking out the window behind us right here and seeing him coming through, and I'm going, you know what? His car's pretty clean. He's not having a big problem. He's really not shining a lot, not laying the numbers on the board. But one thing I do know, Brady, he's a different guy. I mean, he's pretty funny, you know. Yeah. And he talks about the way he dresses and where he's been and what he does, and it's different than the common NASCAR folk, so to speak.
Yeah,
so I'm ready to see what's going to happen.
Definitely a character. So it's going to be interesting to watch him. I watched him a little bit today, and like Rusty said, kept the car clean. Didn't have a great day, but learned a lot. I'm looking forward to seeing him run more races consistently around these great race car drivers to really see what kind of talent he has. It'll bring it out of him for sure.
Here's my impression of his first day at Martinsville. The back deck on the car was intact when the 500th lap finished, and you got it home in one piece. That's accomplishing something here, Doc.
It is. You know, I talked to Scott Speed before the race today down in the garage area, and he said, you know, I ran the truck race yesterday, finished 7th from the back of the pack. I finished 10th here in the spring. But everybody tells me the first time I get in a Cup car here, I'm never going to forget it. What do you think he'll remember most about his first Martinsville Cup experience?
I think probably just how difficult it is, and to drive these cars, these heavy stock cars around this, you know, the competition that he's going to face from now on are the best drivers in the world, and he's going to do that week in and week out. But he's not going to, things are going to get easier for him after he leaves Martinsville and driving these cars.
That's what I was going to say. I think this is probably the toughest contest he'll have in the Cup Series is at this racetrack. You know, Bristol's tough, but I think Martinsville is the toughest track on the circuit.
Well, what about the crew chief's thoughts on some of the things that happened today? Why don't we check down where Dave is caught up with Greg Irwin?
I don't know a lot of drivers, teams, crew chiefs that would be excited about a 12th place finish, but Greg Biffle certainly was. Mr. Irwin, was that part of the plan, finishing near the top 10?
Well, the top 10 is nice here at the short track because it's a little bit like Speedway, believe it or not. You really never know what you're going to come out of here with. But the big problem was we got ourselves down a lap early on what amounted to a stupid call on my part, not getting him to commit to pit road soon enough to get gas there. And we kind of a calculated gamble. We expected to get a caution shortly thereafter that, and it never came. So we set ourselves behind the 8 ball there, you know, and just fought like heck to get back on the lead lap, which we finally got. But with that restart being like it was, less than 10 to go, we just couldn't get up there with the rest of the guys on the lead lap. So could have been, I heard Carl say, I guess, could have been a lot worse. Jeff said could have been a lot better, and we'll fall into that category.
Strategy aside, how do you feel about the organization and how it is now running at Martinsville? Can you expect this every time, you think?
Better, for sure. It's my 3rd race here now, and I guess we finished 8th last fall, and we were not as strong this spring as we had hoped to be. So I'd look at this overall as a big gain for us as a group, certainly.
Feel like you're still in the championship hunt?
Absolutely. Probably 4 of his best tracks coming up. Unfortunately, you can probably say that for all the guys in the top 4 or 5, but we'll just keep doing what we've been doing all year long and try and make some better calls and have him some good race cars. I'm sure he can get up there and win them.
That's why it's going to be so much fun to watch, everyone.
All right, David, thank you. So 3 big stories on the day today where the championship are concerned. The strategy error on Biffle's part, Jeff Burton getting penalized, and Jimmie Johnson winning, setting us up for next weekend. NASCAR Nationwide Series at Memphis, presented by Carfax, Saturday, 3 Eastern Time on ESPN Classic. Make note of that. And then the next race in the chase on the very fast 1.5 mile Atlanta Motor Speedway. Next Sunday, 1 Eastern, ABC.
Exactly right. We talked about Atlanta a little while ago. You know, that turn 4, Brad, at Atlanta, there's been so many guys win the race off that corner. Man, it's going to be a shootout.
That is a super fast racetrack. Oh, Eddie Clark and the boys will have her shined up, and we will be down there to call it back.
So Jimmie Johnson will go to Atlanta with the largest point lead that anyone has had in the chase yet. But anything can happen at that very fast racetrack. We'll see if Greg Biffle or Jeff Burton has a chance to track him down. Up next, world news or your local news, except on the West Coast. We appreciate you watching ESPN on ABC. At Martinsville today, a dominating performance by the 2-time defending Sprint Cup Series champion Jimmie Johnson. He scores another Martinsville win and takes another step toward winning a 3rd straight title.